Okay, great. We are live. Let me share my screen first. So, is the screen visible and am I audible clearly?
Yes, doctor.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, friends, welcome to this new series which I am starting today. We will be having multiple parts. This is the first part where I actually wanted to set up the tempo for today. So, financial investment journey, which should be known to each and every one of us. So, this session was initially destined to be uh, on Friday or Saturday, and then because of some reasons got postponed. So all my presentations will always begin with thanking the Lord Almighty has given me much more than what I deserve. And when it comes to finance, I have to thank my dad as well, who has been instrumental in teaching me the clinical part of finance. So this is my brief biodata. You all are aware of it by now. So how to have a smooth investment journey? We will be taking up a few parts, a few facets. Yes, sir, there might be a certain overlap in certain topics already discussed, but majority of the things I've tried to actually package in a way that they are visible to all of you. So is the audio fine now, or volume is low for everyone or for some?
Sir, it is low.
The volume is low, sir.
Volume is low. Just let me check once again, please. Actually, the schools for the kids also opened up today. Is it fine now?
Sir, better, but it is still low.
Is it fine now?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes, yes.
Yes, sir. It is now.
बच्चों के स्कूल खुल गए ना आज सुबह ये बच्चे
हाँ,
यूज करते हैं शाम को मैं यूज करता हूँ never mind so this is the reason so uh, let's begin our journey of a smooth investment journey. So whatever questions you have, please do keep posting them in chat. At the end of the session, I'll surely take them up first from the chat and then from live if there are any from you. So as I mentioned, financial investment journey part 1, a few rules. So if some of you keep staying with me till the end, obviously I'm not going to give you any kind of offer, but I'm going to give you the rules in the end only. So if you bear your hunger and your sleep or your patience, if you're doing so, you'll be getting a few rules which you might be knowing a couple of them, but yes, you might enjoy the remaining of them. So before we embark on this journey of financial investing, so let us first understand what exactly is financial fitness. We all know about the physical fitness part, and do we actually compare it, or is it equally important or more important or less than physical fitness? Because of late we have been seeing in the lockdown, people have taken up to exercising, gymming, cycling most of all. Even we have our routine cricket club where we play for 2 days a week, Wednesday and Saturdays usually. And when the lockdown was there in April and May, majority of our club members took up to cycling. Unlike COVID-1, when the fear was so much, nobody even ventured on the road. Yes, it was a forced lockdown, but yes, physical fitness has acquired a better importance, at least in our part of the country, in the COVID-2 lockdown. But then we all know eating right is always good, exercising is always good, but maintaining financial fitness is equally important as well. How we'll see in the coming slides. So financial fitness, what do I actually mean by that term? Number one always would be you have an emergency corpus, you have at least 6 months of expenses lined up, you do not have majority of debt actually sitting on your head, you don't let it pile up, you try to say cool it off, you try to tear it off, wear it off from your body, from your head, or from your portfolio. And then you are organized about your budgeting part, you know where the money comes and where the money goes, at least in the today's financial world, when we actually don't have an idea of proper budgeting sometimes. Luckily for us, the adventure part or the vacation part or the wants part has limited quite a bit now. So that would mean that we are living on daily needs because the sources of recreation are very less. No malls, no movies, no multiplexes, no hill stations. Yes, occasional people sneak here and there from their routines, but majority of us not having any wants as such. Then majority of the right decisions about your savings and investments. So what exactly is saving, what exactly is investment? I'll be dealing in short about it today. So having the right kind of insurance policies, so to keep the family secure if something goes out of balance, and all such similar things. So as regard the loans part and the insurance part, I don't think it needs any further introduction. I have 3 big sessions on loan already on YouTube, which are live. 3 sessions, 1 session on term insurance, 1 on health insurance, critical illness part, and on general health insurance, 3 parts. So all of them, and even the loans part, I've discussed all kinds of loan, right from personal loan, medical, or your MSME loan, your gold loan, home loan, education loan, all kinds of loan, doctor's loan also. I've discussed all those things. So if you have not cared to watch that, please do watch that, because I will be conveniently skipping the details about these topics in today's webinar, because they are already covered and already for the world to see on the YouTube channel. So for example, if we are comparing financial fitness to physical fitness, one of your goals is to travel around the world, to have a vacation, or maybe do a trek. Yes, you will want that your body and mind are completely fit, but then you need money for that also. You can't actually go without any money to go around the world. So financially fit is equally important. So you can't pursue your goal otherwise. So weightlifting in this regard is equally important as your other weightlifting if we consider the physical fitness part. So why is it important? Obviously, we all know the answer, but the only thing is we don't want to accept it most of the times. And when it comes to making a choice, we conveniently skip around it. One of my very good friends in my college was a couple of years junior to me. Happened to talk to him today. So he was there in my groups. I asked him for a reference today. He gave me a reference. I said, I think this dentist was there in my WhatsApp groups earlier. He said, who is not there? Because like you come and leave. He is not there currently. So you come and leave. So understand and practice growth and financial growth are equally important as your other mental aspects. So if you skip your financial growth or financial fitness, you're actually stopping one important part of your growth in today's scenario. And money is actually the first thing when we have to think about financial security. You need to have some corpus ready because life can have unexpected turns. Who knew 1.5 years back that so many people are going to die from COVID. So many people will be hospitalized. We all know in the initial stages of COVID, when the cure was not even there, or when the clarity on the treatment process was also not there, people actually spent more than 16-17 lakhs for their hospital bills alone. So that is where the life can throw a lot of lemons at you, and you might not be even ready to make a lemonade in such a case. So always think of financial security first, then financial independence, because we all should know how to make the right decisions. We all can understand that sometimes the clinic inflow is not guaranteed, but outflow is guaranteed, because there are certain expenses which are to be made, which are certain bills which are to be paid, the children's tuition fees to be paid, whether they're going to school or not. So there are so many such fixed expenses that actually will keep eating into our budget. And if we are not making the right decisions, we are actually, hampering our growth. So then those stringent and strict decisions will help us become independent over time. So always choose your right vehicles of investment, because one big wrong decision can make or break the deal. So in today's time, the biggest or the choicest vehicle for many of you might be the Bitcoins. But then it is not a legal tender so far in our country as of now. So I don't advise investing in that. Absolutely. As on 14 June 2021, as I'm talking, it is not legal. So if you want to still go ahead, it is your personal wish or will. So if you are financially independent, you don't have to depend upon others for loans or literally beg from your known ones to actually meet your expenses or meet your goals. So the third is always having a goal-oriented approach. You know that goals and directions will change with time because of the reason children will grow up, our practice will have different facets, and accordingly our life goals will also change. And the only thing is you have to actually then keep shifting your goals according to your inputs, what you are getting. So initially maybe you plan for a car for 5 years, I'll buy this SUV in 5 years. So you actually start making investment or doing savings for that, and you ultimately achieve that in 5 years. So the next goal may be going for a world tour. So then accordingly your goals and your focus will keep on shifting. So yes, then the kids will grow up, say, Dad, I want to go to Australia, I want to go to US for higher studies, I don't want to live in India for whatever reasons. So then you have to plan for that also. And education is not cheap, especially in foreign shores, it is not going to be cheap. So what do you need? Savings or investment? That was the prime question when I started with the financial fitness importance. So for majority, people would say savings and investing is almost the same thing. Is it really same? Let's see. What is the difference? Although they are interconnected, interchangeable sometimes, but they are not actually same. So savings are basically your unspent earnings, which you actually save from your expenses. You had an income, you did your expenses, you maybe did them miserly, and you still save them. And that is your expense, that is your unspent earning, which is remaining after meeting your consumption needs. And when you buy it on credit and you have EMIs to pay, then it is very difficult for you to save on monthly basis. So basically saving will help you pool up funds for your future. And it can be a keep aside money as well on monthly basis, or even you can invest like a SIP from your savings as well. And for example, if you are going to invest in a bigger investment like a house, you can actually save for some amount for your down payment. So then even some money in your idle, which is kept idle in your savings bank account, will be earning interest annually. So you can still earn. And then the same savings can be diverted for investments. So this is the way sometimes your money can be stand against unforeseen emergencies as well. Yes, I'll be taking up this part in the next session as well. But you need to understand one prime line, one prime takeaway from this. You need not worry about your interest income on your emergency fund. People keep on asking me, where should I keep? Yes, I always advise to keep it in a high earning savings bank account, but that is one money you should not be really bothered about what it is earning. If you don't need that money, and if it is earning a decent amount of sum, maybe higher amount of sum, if you kept a more of that, maybe 7 to 10 lakhs, somebody would have higher expenses, because emergency fund would mean 6 months of expenses. So if somebody's lifestyle is lavish, he has kept maybe 7 to 10 lakhs, you shouldn't be bothered what return that money is getting. So that is one carry home point. Obviously, I'll be elaborating further on this in the part 2 of the series. So we all know what COVID-19 did. It created a lot of emergencies for us. But then savings can be used to create avenues for growth, for multiplication via various investment vehicles also. As I said, they can be used sometimes interchangeably, but there is a difference. The difference is the level of risk which is being taken. In savings, you don't take a risk. Either the money is kept lying idle in your almirah, your cupboard, your drawer, or your savings bank account, or at a place where you can easily access it. So whether it is earning or not, you are not really bothered about those savings. But imagine if you put that money to work. What is the basic fundamental I've been giving? If your money does not earn you interest, or if it does not earn you more money, then what is the point of such investment? What is the point of such saving? So yes, it will result in sometimes a low return, but savings virtually has no risk. But investing will give you higher return, but then the risk also varies. The higher the returns, the higher the risk. Yes, there is a balanced approach also, but you need to understand that the basic difference between the two things is the level of the risk taken between that. So saving is setting aside the money which you don't spend now for emergencies or for future purchase. So your emergency money can be your savings. The rest of the money which you don't need, if you have the basics covered, your debt is paid, your term insurance is taken care of, your health insurance is taken care of, you have no other impending liabilities in the near future of 3 to 5 years, you can invest the remaining of the money. Obviously, you won't be investing in one vehicle, you'll be diversifying it easily, so that there might be some options with a lock-in, some without a lock-in, some maybe at a penalty with a with a taken away. So you have all kinds of investment. That is the bottom line rule of investment. Never ever put everything in one. People are actually putting every of their savings in bitcoins. I came across two such friends, not medicos, in my cricket club only, during a recent talk on Saturday game. Said, मैंने तो अपने पैसे म्यूचुअल फंड से निकाल के सारे बिटकॉइन में डाल दिए. कितने डाले? मैंने 10 लाख डाल दिए. For you to understand that if the Bitcoin was at $40,000, for your 10 lakh to turn into 20 lakh, you would need the Bitcoin to go up to $80,000. Is that easy? Is that easy? Try to understand. So the rest is self-explanatory. I don't need to further go into that part. So again, the other risks of not being the legal tender are still there. The taxation risks are still there. The brokerage risks are also there. Recently, just a week back, WazirX actually got a notice as well for money laundering also under the FEMA laws. So we need to understand that whatever is not legal, we should not be actually just for making a quick buck. Just because the world is going towards that, do not actually go towards that side of the investment, which is not very healthy or lucrative if we speak from the honesty point of view. So yes, savings could still be assessed easily with little or no risk, and even the investments, if they come with such options, can be done so. So there are various options. We all know stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate. This is all sorts of investments. So a few investments which actually will not be mattering whether they are in your portfolio or not, I'll be discussing under a separate heading in the next session. So because investments are supposed to achieve long-term goals, if you can't hold your investments for long, if your stock market returns, today morning only, the Adanis were fined by SEBI. The 3 foreign investors' accounts were frozen. And see what happened to the market: 600, 700 down, then 300 down. Ultimately ended up about 76 points higher. The market is actually going crazy these days, having an unexpected bull run when the global indices are not doing very well presently. But then the markets work on sentiment. They never work on logic. You need to understand. So for you, if you are a long-term investor, you remember there will be a period of crests and troughs, bulls and bears. For beginners who don't know, the bull phase is when the stocks go up or the market goes up. The bear phase is when it goes down. Dr. Vyomika put up a very beautiful picture today in one of the groups. The bull and the bear fight. Sometimes there is a middle road kind of a people mentioned as snake, which actually are the TV presenters or maybe the media men or maybe another sources of people who actually try to take advantage of both the people. So the all sorts of things will happen in the market. But if you don't have the patience to bear through the bear cycles, do not invest in any of the market product. But then you have to remember, if that you're not doing that, you're limiting your growth, because the fixed investment return products are currently at less than 7%. And if your inflation today itself, today in the evening, I got a notification, the inflation index for the previous month jumped at 6.3. And the government figures used to be 3.5, 4.5, 4.2 some. But if the government figures are 6.3, the actual inflation is purely above 11 and 12. So if your returns of any investment you have done, the highest is PPF, 7.1. I'm talking the conservative options. Even the liquid funds, even the FDs, all would be less than 7. Yes, a Sukanya would be 7.6, but then that is for a girl child below 10 years of age. Again, a limited scope, so I'm not counting that in. So the highest is 7.1. And in 15 days, you will not see the PPF even at 7.1 when the interest for small savings are revised for the quarter at the end of the month on 30th June. So if your returns are less than 7, after tax returns would be close to 5 only. So you need to realize if your inflation is going up 10, 11, 12%, you are earning 5%, and that too with the less income in your clinic, courtesy COVID lockdown. Yes, the unlock has now started, but if you're earning less and your money is churning out less, your pocket is getting lighter day by day. So the choice is yours, whether you want to make a choice between a saving and investing or keeping your money at work. So that is the reason I always indulge in telling everyone the basics. Basics should be covered: your term insurances, your health insurance, your emergency budget, your immediate pending liabilities in the next 2 to 4 years or 2-3 years. Absolutely. If they are covered, invest the remaining amount. Yes, again, diversify it according to your risk appetite. So investment would actually give you more return, but then you have to understand that various investments will actually help you return. So T. Harv Eker, one of the brilliant minds, has in his book Secrets of Millionaire Mind said this thing: poor people see a dollar as a dollar to trade for something they want right now. Rich people see every dollar as a seed that can be planted to earn $100 more, then replanted to earn $1,000 more. So if you're not doing it, remember, rich and poor is just based on your mindset, according to this quote by T. Harv Eker. So what should you think before venturing out to investments? Again, I'm going the basics way. Even the beginners can enjoy this thing. What actually has to be in your mind? If somebody is having a look at a tree which is bearing now fruits, if you are planting a tree, you will have multiple goals in your mind. This is a beautiful picture which actually summarizes the goals, the likings of a new investor, what you all should be looking at. So the key points which you need to keep in your mind before you start your investments, what are those? Because there is always too much of confusion whether one should spend or invest. So वो कहते हैं ना, आज में जियो, खाओ पियो ऐश करो, don't bother about your future, कल किसने देखा है. So again, a personal choice, but being a financial person, son, and a finance guy myself, along with being a dentist, I know the perils of not actually investing or not actually saving for your future. I may have had a humble beginning, not a very poor one, of course, a very humble beginning, but my dad made sure that even he was a salaried guy, even he had a joint family to maintain, he never let us venture into both the ways. That we felt that we were so poor that we didn't have money to meet our needs, and on the flip side, we are so extravagant that we can spend and thrift and everything. He actually maintained the right balance, and that has actually caught up with my mindset even till today at the age of 44. So I really don't feel the need to spend extravagantly, even if I have many ends covered in today's times as well. So what are the 5 key things which you need to make sure that your investment journey is smoother, even for someone who is just beginning out in today's times? Make a budget first, because always you should know where you are and where you want to go, what are your financial conditions currently. So estimate your total earnings. Make a list of your bills, utilities, consumables, or what is your consumption expenses in the month. Analyze your spendings, because unless you see those figures, you will not be knowing where you're committing a mistake. And always keep some margin money so that you can save it from there. We all know the standardized formulas of 50-30-20 for budgeting are there, which I've given multiple times. Or you can use an alternative Bhavdeep formula, which given by my name, the 45-15-40 principle. You can use that as well. So I'll be covering in the coming slides. But yes, that money should be invested, whichever is your margin money from your balance amount after your spends which are done. Ideally, it is better to first invest and then spend. But then that would mean that you actually don't wait for your expenses. This analysis or estimation is for the process that you know actually where your annual or where your monthly spendings are, and you know which is your free money. So you invest first and then spend, because if you're left with someone, you can always cut corners in a little bit of things, but those investments should not be cut corners. That should be a very regular and a dedicated one. So because the sooner you start, the more time you give to your money to grow, trust me, your money will grow to unimaginable heights. I'll give you a few examples also in today's session if you continue to stay with me till the end. So define your goals. We all have goals in life, and sometimes short term, long term. Long term can be to purchase a house, short term can be to purchase a car, or maybe go for a world tour, as we discussed earlier. So, but then we have to bear in mind our kids' education, our medical expenses, if there are, especially if there are senior people in our house, our parents, our grandparents, maybe some of us have a dependent sibling who's yet to be married, our sister, our brother, maybe. So we have to think of, and if we are the eldermost in the family, there is some liability on our part as well, whether we want to believe it or not. So as I said, goals can be long term, can be short term, but then always set your goals first and create your portfolio. Again, creation of portfolio is another session which is going to be in the part 2 or the part 3, how you actually go on investing as per your asset class. Since it is a journey, so it will have many stations in it. So again, the audience interest will actually determine how many parts it goes up to. The upper limit, I have supposed it should be 5 only, but the lower limit can be an audience interest. Definitely there will be session 2 surely. Then the third part is understand investment basics. So before you start to invest, understand, do not always invest on hearsay, because all of us will have multiple options available. Some may be having a low risk appetite, will not be wanting to go beyond the fixed government investments or fixed return investments. They don't want to say go into the risk part. So, but then there are a few which who will be very extravagant according to their age, and they say we are very flamboyant and we are not averse to higher risk potential, so we can go into that part. So distribute according to your well-defined goals. So what is the money at various stages? I've given examples in the past previous webinars as well. Somebody who is just passed out, his immediate goals would be his marriage and probably setting up his own clinic. So if you are already married and set up your clinic, and maybe those things have happened in the recent past 1 to 2 years, so your next plan would be to bring a child into the family. And trust me, bringing a child into the family is not only a moral responsibility, it is surely a big responsibility financially also speaking. So you need to make sure that your ends are covered in that regard also, and those things. Now, once the child is brought into the family, the next goal may be your clinic expansion part in some ways, or even then after next 3 years or 4 years, the kid going to the big school, the permanent school, not the playway school. So that would be again a good expense sometimes if you plan to get your kid into the big school. And when the kid starts going to school, yes, for many, it would be the time to bring a second child into the family. That is how you set yourself different goals accordingly, that what exactly are going to be my expenses at that stage. Yes, there can be some unexpected twists and turns in this whole journey, but this is where you actually know yourself, know your situation. You can at least plan for the happenable ones, if not for the inhappenable ones. You don't know, sometimes there will be surprise like COVID-1, COVID-2. But yes, you can still plan for those things for which you have set your goals. You can invest in fixed deposit, recurring deposit, shares, mutual fund, stocks, gold bonds, whatever. There are many vehicles. There are so many investment options. Each will have different types of risk. I've covered so many of investments now. Gold has been covered, PPF has been covered, NPS has been covered. I'll be covering mutual funds in short videos on 30th June in the form of 15 videos. So stay tuned for that day. You'll have a lot of videos coming up on 30th June along with the 2-3 webinars on that day. So that is my dad's second death anniversary. So 30th June would be special for me always. It anyways is the midpoint of the year as well. So yes, you can invest regularly. So in those investments, depending upon how you set up your debit facility from your bank. So then people are there who can actually guide you. If you are still not very comfortable taking decisions on your own, you can take a strict financial help also, who will actually understand your risk tolerance profile. There are various tests also available online whereby you can test your risk profile. a simple test what I give to people to invest as per your risk tolerances, that I tell them, आप कितना पैसा है अगर आपका डूब जाए तो you will not feel a pinch. Some would say 1,000, some will say 5,000, some would say 10,000, some would say 1 lakh. It again depends upon how much are you churning monthly in your clinic. Again, COVID times discounted. Think of the normal times. What are you actually earning out of clinic? Someone who is earning maybe 8 to 10 lakhs a month would say, "ठीक है, मेरा 1 lakh डूब भी जाए, I don't mind that." So this is the way your risk tolerance is determined. But then, yes, you need to identify whether you fall in the low, moderate, or the higher risk level. And accordingly, your approach should be there. To help you in this, there are various formulas also available. Normally, we say 100 minus your age should be your equity exposure. Equity means your exposure in your stock market, not exactly the shares, but in terms of mutual fund also. So if you're 100, you are 30 years of age, you would say 70% of my investments, total investments. For example, you are totally investing 2 lakh rupees. You're 70% at the age of 30, 140, 1,40,000 out of those 2 lakh should go in equity. Some would say, nahi sir, 140 तो बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाएगा, risky हो जाएगा मेरे लिए. I'm talking of the whole year. So to be on the safer side in Indian conditions, we use the formula 80 minus your age. So at least 80 minus 30, 50% of your portfolio should be, phased to equities, should be exposed to equity market surely. So that would mean if you're annually investing 2 lakh rupees, that would mean 1 lakh should go in mutual funds or equity based investments, which are surely going to give you more or less 12 to 15% of return. As age goes up, your equity exposure will come down because you will have more corpus and you'll have more responsibilities, and so your risk appetite will also come down. These are the small ways where you can actually determine where you're going to do that. But having said that, if somebody is investing just 2 lakhs a year, that is a very, very petty amount. Why? Because 2 lakhs is not going to give you a good return. A minimum suggested investment, again, normal times, not the COVID times, I would say is 4.5 to 5 lakhs a year. Minimum should be the investment. That would be roughly 35 to 40,000 per month. I hope everybody can actually afford that. Most of us can afford that easily. And if you're doing that, people ask me, sir, सारा PPF में डाल देंगे तो फिर कैसे होगा? आप तो बोलते हो 1.5 लाख PPF में 2 अप्रैल को डाल दो. So कैसे करें? अरे आप 1.5 लाख डाल भी दोगे तो 5 लाख में से 3.5 you still have. If you even talk of equity exposure, 2.5 lakhs is going in equity if you are 30 years of age. You still have 1 lakh more. Out of that, 50,000 goes to the NPS. First, keep your tax saving part covered. So tax saving part is covered. 1.5 plus 50, 2 lakhs is covered. 2.5 goes to your equity or mutual funds. Remaining 50,000, use it as a hedge. Maybe in the gold, maybe in bonds, maybe anything else. It is your wish. It is a personal wish. What do you want to do? But this is the way I divide the portfolio depending upon the age. Yes, there can be various routes separately for people. People will say, नहीं मेरे को थोड़ा फिक्स में भी डिपॉजिट में भी डालना है, मेरे को लिक्विड फंड में भी डालना है, मेरे को पैसा निकालना पड़ जाए तो मेरे को चाहिए कहीं ना कहीं. But then I said, your emergency fund should be covered. ये सारा कुछ आपने करना है for investment once your basics are covered, not when you are actually starting out. First, look at the basics, cover your basic ends, and then invest. If you are investing 4 to 5 lakhs a year, trust me, you will need just 12 to 15 years with this kind of amount to make a good future for yourself. Because as time increases, your money would grow exponentially. And if you have 50% or more exposure for the next 10 years, trust me, by the age of 40, just check out your portfolio, what kind of growth it has. So this is the approach you should adopt. This is a systematic approach. We actually invest on hearsay. उसने उसमें लगाया, मैं भी लगा दूं. Sir, वो fund कितना अच्छा है, मैं भी लगा दूं. People don't pay attention only. There are various behavioral biases which are actually attached to. So then aggressive will actually put in more of their. कई aggressive investors होते हैं, they will say, sir, 50-70 छोड़ो, मैं तो 90% equity में डालूंगा. अगर मेरा डूबेगा कोई बात नहीं, मेरे को वो भी तो आएगा, आज तक डूबा है कोई. People are there who take a lot of risks. I don't advise that. You go according to the set of formulas. There are formulas in the industry which are going to actually help everyone. So they are there for a specific reason. So they will actually help you grow more. Then creating an emergency fund, that I've already told you, you have to keep at least 6 months of your expenses as your emergency account, or 3 months of your gross income. I'm talking of the normal times income, not the COVID time. Whatever the average you were having, 3 months of gross, or 50% is usually we take as expenses. 6 months of expenses should be there minimum. Over and above, it is your personal choice. I don't mind that. So these are the 5 points which are essential for any investors if you are actually looking at such a scenario. But then investors actually fall into a trap, which is kind of in practice management, in other spheres of life, we call it as procrastination. In financial terms, we call it as the investor's inertia or financial inertia. What is that? Let's see. So we want कि NSE में डाल दें, नेशनल सेविंग सर्टिफिकेट, और PPF में डाल दें, या इक्विटी लिंक सेविंग की म्यूचुअल फंड में डाल दें. But ये होता है ना, when we start thinking those things, these plans always remain on paper. So what is this? This is investor inertia. ये होता है कि we actually avoid investing our idle money. वो पड़ा रहेगा सेविंग बैंक में, वो पड़ा रहेगा आपके कबर्ड में, वो पड़ा रहेगा आपके ड्रॉर में, but you will not actually go down to invest that. Reason? The fear of losing the money. कि कहीं गलत डिसीजन ले लिया तो हम लोग लेने के देने पड़ जाएंगे. That is the reason which actually helps us delaying those things, and sometimes those delays cost us pretty dearly. So many people suffer from, even the investors who are maybe investing small amounts, they are actually suffering from this inertia of making the wrong financial decision. Remember, गलती करोगे तभी सीखोगे, या दूसरों की गलती से सीख लो. Both the things are good. So when it comes to learning from others' mistake, वो सोचते हैं उसकी सिचुएशन और थी, मेरी और है, मेरे को तो नुकसान ज्यादा हो जाएगा उसके बजाय. We don't realize those things, that sometimes those things can be irreversible also, which may not happen to us. So this is the reason we can always say this is the procrastination sometimes which happens for investing. Even then, putting up your nominee for your demat account or for your other investments, we wait till the last moment to invest in tax saving instruments. Remember last year, March 23rd, 24th, lockdown was inserted in 2020. The government extended the last date of investments till 30th June and then ultimately 31st July, because majority of investment, जो भी investment होती है, पहले तो होती कम है, whatever investments happen for tax saving, 70 to 80% of them happen within 15 to 31st March. Can you believe that? People do it at the last moment. We are all fond of, most of us Indians are fond of doing it, the things till the last moment. वो कहते हैं ना, अपॉर्चुनिटी आए तो उसको ग्रैब कर लेना चाहिए. हम सोचते हैं अपॉर्चुनिटी आएगी, हमारे सर पे बैठेगी, डांस करेगी और हम अपने आप अवेल हो जाएगी. It does not happen every time. You have to really catch hold of opportunity, because it comes and goes and we don't even realize that what has happened. So why do people suffer from investor inertia or financial inertia? Because you're comfortable doing nothing. अरे यार पैसे डालेंगे, रोज ट्रैक करना पड़ेगा, दिल धक धक होगा, यार ये तो नीचे चला गया मेरा पोर्टफोलियो. ऊपर होएगा तो हम कुछ नहीं कहेंगे, नीचे चला गया तो हम कहेंगे देखो मेरा तो अभी भी रेड है. तो अगेन वी हैव सो मेनी चॉइसेस एंड किसमें जाएं वी डोंट नो. और अगर कोई बताता है मेरे जैसा तो हम वीडियो खोल के भी नहीं देखते हैं. यूट्यूब पे 300 वीडियो पड़े सड़ रहे हैं, लेकिन नॉट इवन ट्रिपल डिजिट व्यूज. 1400 लोग तो सिर्फ आप हो 6 ग्रुप्स में. अगर एक बंदा एक व्यूज भी देगा ना तो 1400 व्यूज मिल जाते हैं एक वीडियोस को. देयर आर वीडियोस व्हिच हैव जस्ट 7 व्यूज, 10 व्यूज, 50 व्यूज, 20 व्यूज. So who's to blame, me or you? I'm doing my duty. I'll keep on doing my duty till whatever time it is there. And I've made maximum use of the lockdown period in the past year also, and this year also. I've not wasted time. Once the things resume normally, I'll be away to my offline workshops. Who'll know how many videos I'm going to do? So it is you who have to make a choice. I'm not going to make the choice on your behalf. I can only guide you. I can only manage my own money, or maybe my family's money, maybe my friends' money. If you who contact me, I'm not going to manage all of yours money. and I can just give you advice. Whether you want to follow it or not, it is a personal choice. So money keeps on lying idle. लोगों के saving bank account में 40 लाख 50 लाख 30 लाख पड़ा रहता है, and earning 3.5 2.75 percent interest, and people don't actually realize that certain things can earn you better return rather than those money lying in that. Definitely कोई minimum investment भी करेंगे ना आप, तो भी अगर आप फिक्स भी करेंगे 5.5-6 तो देगा, आफ्टर टैक्स भी उससे कम देगा. आपका 2.5-3% वाला तो आपको 1% ही रिटर्न दे रहा है. Remember the inflation, your money is going down in value. So fear you have to leave. If you keep on fearing, you will not be able to grow. So how to overcome this financial inertia? I've discussed in one of the earlier presentations also. Be a good boyfriend or be a good husband and fix a date to manage your money. Keep one weekly date minimum with your money, always. Because this is the way you can overcome your inertia. You have to get your finances in order and study about various things. There are a lot of things available. There is a lot of data on internet. There are a lot of videos on my channel, if you are interested to do that. Then understand the amount you need to meet your financial goals. मैंने आपको goal setting दिया different stages के लिए. Bringing a child, child's higher education, bringing second child, expansion of your clinic. Remember, estimate लगाना बहुत जरूरी है. You need to understand. आपसे ज्यादा आपकी situation को कोई और understand नहीं करता. Nobody else can and nobody else will also. Because we shirk from giving all the details to our advisors also. Shirk to give our full details to our CA also. So who's going to understand your situation? It is very difficult to come into someone's shoes and understand those situations. I remember I've done SWOT analysis for many of you in the previous year. And trust me, when I do SWOT analysis for your own personal life, I've tried to actually put myself in your shoes. And yes, majority of the results were very favorable for many of you, because people thought about this process. Yes, if I can understand that situation, but then you have to put in some time and effort, and nobody would put in today's time for free for that for you. So you have to understand you are the best judge of your financial situation. So you decide accordingly that what are you going to do accordingly. So what are your financial goals? Can be your needs, can be your wants as well. I mentioned the needful ones, your education, your child to the family, your clinic expansion, but there will be some wants also. Buying a house, again, house might be a middle road. You're having a house, but you still want to buy a flat, etc. can be a want. But if you are living in a rented accommodation, buying a house would be your primary need, or maybe a need only. It's not a want. But going on a world tour, buying a SUV, buying a say luxurious car would be a want. But then the most important of everything of the bottom line is the retirement planning, which you don't even think of, because we are not going to have pension. Who will feed us in our future? Don't expect to beg from your kids. It is going to be a very painful life. So make your calculations accordingly. There are a lot of online financial calculators available. Just put in the amount you are going to enter in the year or in the month and how you can achieve your goals. So this ways you can do reverse planning. I need 20 lakhs. I need 10 lakhs after 5 years. आपने डालना कितना है? आपको कितनी investment में चाहिए? Again, there are various rules for that, which keep on, which I'll be giving you at the end of the presentation. So we are almost beyond the middle part of the presentation now. So you have to choose investments that will offer you inflation beating return. Remember, inflation will eat up into your money. In simple language, if I explain you, don't think about COVID times. If in last June, your monthly expenses, all things included, were 50,000, in today's times, they would be 55,000, roughly 10% increase. So you need to understand that your lifestyle expenses would increase by 10% every year. Yes, we are balanced somehow because the wants are decreased courtesy the lockdowns, but they will not continue forever. And once वो क्या कहते हैं ना, एकदम से lockdown खुलेंगी, restrictions खुलेंगी ना, then we will be actually like बोलते हैं ना, वो पिंजरे में तड़प रहे होते हैं लोग, परिंदे. We will be like पिंजरे से निकलेंगे और भागेंगे अपने अपने favorite spots की to actually enjoy the vacation. So then you have to understand that this is a very simple technique, the reverse engineering, to calculate your financial goals. So put in small amounts, because disciplined investment will always pay. So create an emergency corpus. I've already told you, certain hospitalization, people found themselves at the wrong end in the recent COVID times. और एक जो हवा क्रिएट कर दिया गया था ना सबकी तरफ, एक बार तो सबको कोविड होना ही होना है. डू यू नो व्हाट आर द नंबर्स टिल डेट? 363, 73 crore 70 lakhs, just about that number. How many percentage of Indians have suffered from corona till date? We are 135 crores or 140 crores, roughly 3 to 4%. क्या फिगर्स आ रहे थे? 87% लोगों को तो होना ही होना है. एक बार तो कोरोना सबको होना ही होना है. आज तक 4 करोड़ लोगों को नहीं हुआ, एंड यू स्टिल एक्सपेक्ट कि सारे इंडिया को होगा कोरोना. So think positive. Do not think in that sense. But yes, if you are on the wrong side, if you have hospitalization because of COVID or because of anything else, you need to have some emergency corpus at your end, surely. Do not make the investor inertia become costly for you, because तब आपको अपने normal savings को divert करना पड़ेगा. And then you will have less time for your money to grow as well. Or maybe you have to ask for money from your friends. So never postpone your life insurance and health insurance. I've discussed a lot on this in 7 sessions. So you can actually take an advantage of watching these videos. There was a feedback on health insurance by Dr. Ram Prasad only in the morning. So if I posted that also. So if you want to protect yourself, you should have these basics covered surely. So avail your other insurances as well if you easily can. Your other financial goals can be done if you invest systematically. Do not postpone them, because if you do not act when it is required, you will surely let that inertia affect you. And why does that inertia happen? Because we have a behavior problem. And what are those behavioral traps? There are 5 of them predominantly. There are various biases which actually let us fall into one situation or the other, and we do not stick to one of that. Because if you dedicate the right kind of money to the right kind of portfolio to your asset allocation, you actually can decide that how faster your money can grow. And trust me, there are a lot of data available on all kinds of vehicles. The only thing is we invest on hearsay and want to always do and expect miracles to happen. So many of the decisions work on emotions. As I say, stock market also works on sentiment and rarely on logic. So always base your decisions on a market research. You are lucky. We all are lucky. There is so much data on a particular instrument without any bias, without any emotional reason available on the net. And you can actually, before investing, put your own top floor of the body, your brain, to use whenever you're going to jump into that, even if it is on a recommendation, even if it is on a strong recommendation. So never let fear, greed, and other emotions to influence your financial decisions. So what are the 5 biases that you should avoid? The optimism bias, familiarity bias, anchoring bias, loss aversion, and the most common, herd mentality. So let's see them one by one. So optimism bias is actually कि हमारे पड़ोसी का नुकसान हो गया, हमारा उतना थोड़ा ना होगा, आपको उससे ज्यादा भी हो सकता है. Again, those things can vary according to individuals. We believe that our returns can outperform, जितना उसके पास है मेरा तो उससे ज्यादा रिटर्न देगा. So again, this is more of a relying on a lottery system rather than your knowledge or skill. So this is like optimism. मेरे साथ भगवान ने आज तक बुरा नहीं किया, so मेरे साथ इन्वेस्टमेंट में भी बुरा नहीं होगा. I'm sorry to say that is the wrong approach. So if you let that happen in your decisions, it is a very, very risky decision taking. And trust me, अगर आपके साथ आज भी बुरा नहीं हुआ, तो शायद वो शुरुआत स्टॉक मार्केट से ही होगी आपके साथ. Sorry to say, but this can happen. Then familiarity bias. So you try to invest in only those investments which you are familiar with. I've seen Dr. Bhavdeep's PPF video. उन्होंने बोला PPF बहुत अच्छा है, मेरा सारा पैसा PPF में जाएगा. मैक्सिमम तो 1.5 लाख ही जा सकता है ना फिर भी. You need to understand that what asset classes you have to, if you are not knowing about certain asset classes, get yourself familiar. Slowly keep on growing yourself. There is a lot of world to learn. There is no dearth of information available for us. But yes, if you are investing only in a particular thing, only in real estate, only in PPF, only in stocks, or only in mutual funds, then you are actually committing a mistake. It is always good to base your portfolio based on your thorough research. Yes, portfolio building, as I said, I'll be taking up in part 2 or part 3 separately, how to build up your portfolio in increments, and how to set up various asset classes or various things. Asset class means various like equity, like debt, like a balanced one, like a gold, like a real estate, like a gold, like a silver, like a commodity. All these are various asset classes. So for those who are beginners and might not be understanding a few of the terminology, although I've tried to simplify many things, but these are the meanings of the asset classes in a broader version. I'm not giving you the technical terms, just to explain you in the broader version. So then there are certain benchmarks in the industry, you know, कि ये चीज ने इसके benchmark ने इतना perform किया. So if your investment is below that, that would mean it is performing under. It is underperforming. If somebody crosses benchmark, that means your choice was good enough. So then there is an anchoring bias. You have an information which might be outdated. जो चीज आज से 5 साल पहले अच्छी थी, कोई फंड आज से 5 साल पहले अच्छा था, कोई शेयर आज से 5 साल पहले अच्छा था, शायद आज की डेट में वो नहीं है. पीएनबी का शेयर कुछ साल पहले 150 रुपए का होता था, अब बेचारा 35, 37, 40 में धक्के खा रहा है. सो दिस इज द वे थिंग्स चेंज विद टाइम. बट इफ यू कीप ऑन रिलाइंग, अगर डेंटिस्ट्री आप जीवी ब्लैक वाली नहीं कर रहे हैं, अपने आप को अपडेट करते हैं इन एवरी सच सिनेरियो, यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड that there are certain situations, certain decisions where you also need to be updated about financial information as well. So you can actually make your decisions based on such knowledge. But if you have the outdated knowledge, you will never be knowing even the right time to enter or exit from the market if you are holding primarily in that portfolio. If you're holding primarily in stocks, primarily in mutual funds, you will never know when to exit or when to hold. And that is the reason we work on sentiments. आज market गिरी है, बेच दो, बेच दो, बेच दो. When the market falls, it is actually the time to buy. If you are a long-term investor, this is just a thought process required with a change over here. आपने 10 साल के लिए चीज ली है, तो आप क्या सोच रहे हैं वो लीनियर फैशन में ग्रो करेगी? There will be crests, there will be troughs. जब नीचे जाती तो that is the time to invest. That is not the time to sell. You don't need to profit book because you have entered with a 10-year mindset in your mind. नीचे जाती जाने दो और डालो. But then कोई दिमाग है, fear, greed, emotions, all those take over, and ultimately जब हम निकाल लेते हैं, what we lose, the power of compounding, and that is where people actually put a break on their portfolio themselves. मैं बहुत बारी कहता हूँ, सब कहते हैं ना कुल्हाड़े पे पाँव मार लिया, या किसी ने पाँव पे कुल्हाड़ा मार लिया, किसी ने कुल्हाड़े पे पाँव मार लिया. Dentists are known to, or doctors are known to do a bungee jumping on the कुल्हाड़ा. They do it. आओ देखो, देखते पैर कटता कि नहीं कटता. They do it themselves. So they need to realize that they are committing mistake. Then loss aversion. Stock market में पैसा नहीं डालना, सब डूब जाता है. मत डालो, mutual funds में डाल दो, which have exposure to G-Secs also. G-Secs means government securities, which have exposure to various other things, government bonds also. They'll have all kinds of exposures. There are all kinds of funds available. Look out their portfolio. किसमें उसने invest किया है, किसमें उसका एक्सपोजर ज्यादा. अकॉर्डिंगली इफ यू फील दैट, उसका रिस्कोमीटर चेक करो. इफ यू आर स्टिल विलिंग कि नहीं है, रिस्की नहीं है, आई डोंट वांट टू गो, डोंट गो इन देयर. बट ऑलवेज इक्वेटिंग अ स्टॉक मार्केट टू अ म्यूचुअल फंड इज अ रॉन्ग अप्रोच. यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. एंड इसीलिए हम लोग क्या करते हैं, यार डालेंगे तो नुकसान हो जाएगा, वो जेब में पड़ा पड़ा तो नुकसान कर ही नहीं रहा शायद. If you know, if your money 1000, it was in 2000, it is currently valued at roughly 7100 or 710 rupees, a loss of close to 30% roughly, going by the pricing index. It is not always linear कि 10 साल में आपके पैसे डबल हाफ हो जाएंगे. It does not happen similarly. बोलते हैं ना 6%, 7% इन्फ्लेशन हर साल कम करते जाओ, 100 का 93, 93 का 86, वो तो 5 साल में 50 पे आ जाएगा. It does not happen. The inflation figures are according to the indices. So you need to understand what 1000 was in 2010. It is roughly close to 60, 690 or 710 between that figure in today's times. So this is the kind of thing you have to remember, that if you are not investing, you're still losing out. You're still losing out. Your money is still going down in value. People fear कि नहीं हमारे को principal loss होगा. you are already losing by not investing your principal also. So your inaction is also making you suffer losses, because only factor is fear if you invest. So हम बोलते देखो ना, देखो आज क्या होगा, स्टॉक मार्केट गिर गई, मैंने डाले हो तो मेरा भी डूब जाता पैसा। अरे आपने कल नहीं डाला, आपने बहुत साल पहले डाला था, आपको ग्रो किया होता तो कुछ परसेंटेज कम होता। आज वो 100 से अगर 150 पहुंचा था तो 150 से शायद आज 148 आता। एग्जाम्पल दे रहा हूं, वो 98 पे नहीं आ जाता इन वन फॉल। यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट माइंडसेट। आपके प्रॉफिट में से कम होता, आपके प्रिंसिपल में से कम नहीं होता। But then this is a risk, a loss aversion thing, which keeps on making us elude from investing in such things. So you may have a winning stock or a losing stock and that, but what is there? You need to make a decision on that. Then the most common thing, the doctor's favorite, the fifth point, the behavior bias, herd mentality. जो दूसरे कर रहे हैं मैं भी वो करूं। सर मुझे फंड्स बता दीजिए कौन से अच्छे हैं, सर मुझे वो बता दीजिए कौन सा अच्छा है, मैं किस में पैसा लगाऊं। इट इज गुड टू आस्क फॉर एडवाइस, बट इट इज नॉट गुड टू आस्क फॉर अ स्पेसिफिक, आपने कौन से फंड में पैसे लगाए हैं वो बताओ। पीपल आस्क मी दीज काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस एज वेल, दैट व्हाट इज योर एज, व्हाट इज योर किड्स एज, व्हाट आर द इमीडिएट लायबिलिटीज। मैं 4-5 क्वेश्चन पूछता हूं, उनको अपने आप आंसर मिल जाता है। People keep on asking me, which is the best term insurance policy, which is the health insurance policy. If you have watched those videos of term insurance and health insurance, you would get the answer in there. कि मैं क्यों आपको एक या दो लाइन में बेस्ट नहीं बता सकता, because there are so many factors which are affecting that. But if you want a one line answer, then that is a herd mentality, which I do not encourage. I also call it as a spoon feeding mentality, and absolutely don't encourage that, because डॉक्टर मेरे एक फ्रेंड थे एल सल्वाडोर से, फ्रॉम सेंट्रल अमेरिका, ही यूज्ड टू से नेवर स्पून फीड and rather we are supposed to breastfeed the participants. Never do that. So we are influenced by emotions rather than independent analysis. So वो बोलते हैं ना, एक मार्केट में टिप मिली है, ये हॉट शेयर्स हैं, इसको खरीद लो, रिटर्न पक्की है। अगर ये सब कुछ होता तो everybody would have grown only, nobody would have faced losses. So always don't rely on TV channels and independent investors or hot tips like this, because otherwise you will fall victim to such bubbles if you are following the herd mentality. किसी को ये बोलो मैंने तो तेरे कहने पे लगाए थे, वो कहता तेरी अकल क्या घास चरने गई थी। You need to understand, we all have a top floor. We are supposed to be the cream deal या cream of the society, the better brainers who are actually cleared entrance exams and become doctors. अपनी आइडेंटिटी पहचानो, अपना दिमाग यूज करो. वी आर नॉट डम ब्रेनर्स, वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. So these biases actually come in way of effective decision making, and they come in the way of personal finances as well. And actually we respond very badly to emotional stimuli sometimes. So sticking to basics approach is the one I prefer always. In my all sessions, in my all webinars, in all my topics, I always keep talking of basics, because basics नहीं आते हैं तो आप advanced कभी भी नहीं सीख पाओगे. You can never jump on the fifth staircase. You always have to travel from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, you may be occasionally, okay, if you make a long jump, you might land up on third or the fourth, but then you have a risk that you might break your leg also sometime. So stay focused on the long-term wealth creation part. So yes, if you have stayed here till the end, I'm coming to the last portion of today. Take about 10-15 minutes. The favorite financial rules of the thumb, which I told you there are existing along with some money guidelines. So everything has a rule of thumb. Tennis में बोलते हैं ना, start with a good serve. Can be an ace also. जब कुछ लिखना है as an author, avoid using a cliche. और eggs को boil करना है तो 6-minute boiling rule होता है eggs का भी. So why investing is an exception? There are a few thumb rules for investment also, to make sure how your money grows. The first is, you all are familiar with it. The rule of 72. Double the money, divide the money by your rate of return. For example, if your investment is giving you 9% return, divide 72 by 9, you arrive at 8. That means your money will double in 8 years. Accordingly, if your rate of return, for example, in FD is 6%, your money will double in 12 years. 72 divided by 6. You can use this in a reverse format also. that you actually want the money to double in 5 years. So if you divide 72 by 5, you will arrive at a figure of 14.4. So that would mean if you want your money to grow in 5 years, you will need a investment which will give you 14.4% return. Obviously, there cannot be a PPF, there cannot be a government bond, of FD or a saving bank account for that. You need to put in your money in equity or mutual funds for that purpose. Something that can give you 14%. And if you need a quick money of doubling in 5 years, just to give you an example. So this is the way it actually works. The money, the rule of 72 is not exactly 72. It is 69.3. But then it is an indivisible number. So, and not convenient because the 72 would have many factors like 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9. It can be divisible by such numbers. So just to round it off, it has been kept at 72. But it is a wonderful thing to get a timeline of your doubling amount, or to put in a vehicle where you can double your investment on the return basis as well, as I gave you just in the example right now. So the second rule is the rule of 114. So 172 tells you how to double. 114 will tell you how much time will it take to triple your money. So same formula, same way, divide the same by the number of years, you will get to amount which will be doubling in or tripling in, sorry, in the number of years, or the percentage wise, you need the money to be tripled, divided accordingly, you will arrive at a percentage which will tell you the money, how much time will it take to be tripled, or in the instrument it will require to make it a number of a fixed number of years. Then the rule of 144. So 72 ka double hota 144. So that would mean 144 is basically 4 times your money. So doubling 72, tripling 114, 4 times 144. So if you divide by that similar way, you will arrive at the number of years and the amount of instrument जो आपके पैसे को 4 गुना करे. These are the various set formulas which are followed all over in the investment industry, which actually help us to arrive at such a situation. Then the rule of 70, close to 69.3, but this is a way actually to track the inflation and the depreciation factor. So how much your wealth will be in 10 or 20 years. अगर आपने वही आपका भी इन्वेस्टेड इनर्शिया से आप हो गए ना, आपका पैसा आइडल पड़ा है, तो आप कहते हैं कि हमने पैसा इन्वेस्ट नहीं किया, या आपका लॉस एवर्शन माइंडसेट है, बिहेवियर बायस आई मे से. So then divide your money by the number 70 by the current inflation rate to arrive at this figure. And this will actually tell you कि आपका पैसा half कितनी देर में हो जाएगा. So if you have 50 lakhs today and आज का inflation rate 5% है, तो आपका 50 का 25 लाख 14 साल में होगा. So as I gave you an example, 2010 and 2020, 1000 का 700 हुआ roughly. ये 14 साल में आपका half हो जाएगा. So this is the way the inflation figures work. Don't exactly expect कि आपका 3 साल 5 साल में पैसा half हो जाएगा. It does not happen unless the inflation rate is very high. So remember the rule of 70 to arrive at your money in basis to inflation. How much time if you're not actually investing or if your money is lying idle. Then the last rule is 10-5-3 rule. We always look out for the rate of return on our investments. So the 10-5-3 rule will actually tell us mutual fund की कोई guarantee नहीं ना होती, but long term investments yield 10%, debt yields 5%, and saving banks yield 3%. So these are the various instruments which are actually say after tax returns, if we talk of, for normal instruments, not the high performing ones, not the low performing ones. So we are taking those figures into account via the 10, 5, and 3 rule. So you have given you 5 rules. So a bonus for you for staying till the end, the 6th rule, the 15-15-15 rule in mutual funds. So you say if you want to earn 1 crore, you have to invest 15,000 for 15 years in a mutual fund that offers 15% returns per year. So it is purely the effect of compounding only. Albert Einstein said, compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. So you have to first understand what is compounding in that. So this is a term which is very commonly used in mutual funds. कि जो आपने ग्रो किया पैसा, जो आपका इंटरेस्ट आया फ्रॉम 1 year's रिटर्न, इवन दैट इज री इन्वेस्टेड बैक, और वो जो रिटर्न किया पैसा फिर से इन्वेस्ट अर्न करता है. योर प्रिंसिपल विल कीप ऑन अर्निंग, बट योर इंटरेस्ट ऑल्सो अर्न्स द नेक्स्ट ईयर. फर्स्ट ईयर प्रिंसिपल gives you return, the next year principal still gives you return, the return also gives you return. So that return which gives you return is the compounding, in very simple language. So it is the which will be earning interest in the next. So compounding is the backbone of mutual fund investments, and actually can turn people from rags to riches. So always take advantage of compounding by starting at the earliest. That is the primary theory behind compounding. So I'll give you an example. Consider two individuals, Sudhir and Randhir. Sudhir investing when he was 20 years old, but he stopped investing after 10 years. His friend started at 30, but went on till 60. So although Sudhir stopped after 10 years at 30, he did not redeem his investment till 60. So both stay invested till 60 years. Tell me, can anyone guess and put in chat box who will earn more at the age of 60? Sudhir, who just invested for 10 years from 20 to 30, but yes, redeemed at 60 only. And Randhir, who started at 60, invested for 30 years, and again redeemed at 60. Can anybody tell me from chat who will earn more, Sudhir or Randhir? Sudhir. Just on 10 years, you base that he will outbeat 30 years of investment. Are you really sure? You want to change your answers? You still can. Randhir. Now the change is to Randhir. Sudhir, Randhir, compound interest. Let's see the answer. Age when entered, 20 years. Age when exited. Exited in the sense not investing further. So investment duration was 10 years, but the holding period was 40 years. Suppose both of them invested 2,000 a month. So again, exited in year 60, investment duration 30, holding period 30 years, 2,000 per month, same investment, 2,40,000, 10% per year, 10% per year, 7,20,000. What is the corpus? 81 lakhs. What is the corpus? 45 lakhs. 34 times, 6.3 times. This is the power of compounding. This is really the power of compounding. So what do I mean by this? When I always say start early, start early. बहुत सारे आप में से जो हैं young practitioners हैं, in your late 20s, in your early 30s. If this slide cannot motivate you, nothing else will. So remember, compounding will give you just with a 10 years investment. मैं क्यों बोलता हूँ dedicated investment 15 साल करोगे ना, उसके बाद छोड़ दो 60 तक. Trust me, it give you insane amount, absolutely insane. So you can notice Sudhir has made more money, much more money, because he has already invested some corpus and he didn't redeem. If he had redeemed that, he would have actually gotten less return. But then the portfolio was 34 times, hopping 34 times. So the 15-15-15 rule is the best, one of the basic rules to help you become a करोड़पति. 15 साल इसलिए मैं बोलता हूँ. 15,000 per month means 1,80,000. All going into 15%. Obviously, I am not saying कि आप 1,80,000 बोलो. तभी तो मैं आपको बोलता हूँ 4.5 लाख 5 लाख करो in a year. और अगर आप अपनी एज के हिसाब से 15 साल भी 70% और 50% एक्सपोजर दोगे, तो आप इमेजिन कर सकते हो कि आपका कम से कम 2.5 लाख रुपया विल हैव दिस मच एक्सपोजर. सो इफ यूर 2.5, यहाँ पे 1,80,000 एक्सपोजर मिल रहा है. अगर 2.5 लाख को एक्सपोजर मिलेगा, कैन यू इमेजिन व्हाट विल बी द अमाउंट एट 15 years? And you're not going to redeem after 15. If you're 30, stay invested till 60. Maybe stop contributing after 45, but stay invested. Let the money grow. You will have an insane amount. But 27 lakh ki investment and you can earn 73 lakhs. So this is the basic, one of the basic rules. And if still this does not ring with you, if this still does not wake you up from your investor inertia, from your procrastination, nothing else can. So if you extend it for 15 more years, 30 से 45 आपने किया, 45 से 60 आपने कुछ नहीं किया, 15, 15, 30, और maybe किया, चलो 15,000 more. So maybe 27 lakhs more in the next 15 years. so that 1 crore will become 10 crores. This is the power of compounding. So आपने 27 और डाला, अब इस बार तो आपको 9.84 मिला, पहले आपको 27 का 73 मिला था, 1 crore हुआ था. Imagine the amount of growth that is going to happen. So if you have not started, start now. So the key takeaway from this is that when it comes to mutual funds, you should not only invest your money, but also your time. I always factor time is a big asset when it comes to compounding. और फिर long term investor जो होता है, अगर वो time, अगर वो exit कर जाता है, तो he loses out on this. सुधीर ने अगर 10 साल करके 40 पे exit कर लिया होता, तो उसका corpus 34 times नहीं होता. So time is equally important as the amount. So that is the key takeaway. If you, at a smallest instance of a market crash, exit after 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, if you have thought of investing for 10 year, 15 years, then I'm sorry to say you are the biggest fool on earth. You'll again start from zero again. ये सोचिए कि निकल के आपके पास ऑप्शंस क्या हैं, वो 5-6% वाली एफडी या 6.5% वाला पीपीएफ, अभी 15 दिन में 6.5 हो जाएगा, 7.1 है अभी तो. So this is the thing you have to understand. Long-term horizon, time factor one added to money makes it grow exponentially, because then compounding is added to it. If you are too tired or अगर आपको भूख लग गई है with even a cup of coffee, I'm just going to give you the carry home gyan for today. But yes, carry home gyan slides are about 7-8 in number. So 5 things to know before you invest and before you expect to earn your profit in the future. That how you purchase your assets, how you make a return from them, only then you can actually grow. That how I'll be telling you in the future sessions when I tell you to how to build up your portfolio about that part. So you must invest with a clear objective in mind. Goal setting is very important. So we will never attain our financial goals. एक खत्म होएगा तो दूसरा हो जाएगा. We all know that. So these are the 5 things you should carry home. You should actually know before you start investing. Set financial goals, make your budget, create an emergency fund, get debt free, avail adequate insurance. So let's break up them into shorter parts. Financial goals, time frame to achieve it, you should know it. 3 साल बाद मुझे क्लिनिक एक्सपैंड करना है, मुझे एक चेयर और लगानी है, मुझे एक ओपीजी लगाना है, मेरे को ये लगाना है. आई नीड 15 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 12 lakh, 8 lakhs, whatever amount. उसके लिए डेडिकेटेड इन्वेस्टमेंट क्या करनी है मेरे को, थिंक अकॉर्डिंगली. सेविंग क्या करनी है, सेविंग करने का मतलब नहीं कि ड्रॉर में पैसे डालते रहो. मेक ऑल्सो दैट मनी ग्रो, कम परसेंटेज पे ग्रो करो. शॉर्ट टर्म है तो शॉर्ट टर्म पे ग्रो करो. 3 साल बाद करना ना, यू कैन इवन इन्वेस्ट दैट अमाउंट इन इक्विटी. 3 साल बाद देयर इज अ वेरी लेस चांस कि 3 साल बाद वो नेगेटिव में होगा. इट विल स्टिल गिव यू अ गुड डिसेंट 10% प्लस रिटर्न, प्लस एलटीसीजी आपका निकल जाएगा इन दैट पार्ट. इफ यू हैव इन्वेस्टेड लंप सम, इफ यू आर इन्वेस्टेड इन पार्ट्स, then वो 3 साल का 6 साल बाद निकलेगा. Of course, the last installment, because it is like the first in first out system for a long-term capital gain in that sense. So then, if it is a ELSS, if it is an equity, otherwise, then the lock-in period is only 1 year. So you can for the long-term gains. So yes, you can reap advantages of that even after 1 year. Accordingly, you can do that. So not every ELSS is giving you humongous returns. Equity returns are very much and as good as people are taking 20%, 25% returns as well. In today's times, certain mutual funds have given close to 33% returns as well. And I'm talking of the good funds, not the small caps. The mid cap rally has been phenomenal. The blue chips have also grown considerably, but yes, the good ones only. Again, as I gave you an example, buying a car, 8 lakhs in 3 years. Set your short, medium and long term goal and invest accordingly. मेरे को इसके लिए इतना डालना है, इसके लिए इतना डालना है, इसके लिए इतना डालना है. Divide your savings and invest in that particular amount of instrument. Calculation आपको यहाँ पे लगानी पड़ेगी. People can guide you, suggest you. Final decision will be still yours. Do not always rely on others. You have to use your own brain most of the times. So then choose your products depending upon your time horizon and your risk tolerance. So some like aggressive investor can have a 5 years horizon. मेरे को 5 साल में double करना, so I'll put all my money in 14.4 times return. So this is the way they actually plan their return. But somebody having a shorter time span or a shorter goal can invest in debt funds or maybe liquid funds to achieve those goals where you get about 5 to 6% returns also. So then make a household budget. Always calculate the surplus. Kitna expenditure hai, we all know. What are your fixed consumables? What are your bills? You need to calculate that. Follow the 50-30-20 principle or the Bhavdeep formula of 45-15-40. I've given that many a times. You can follow the world over followed formula, or you can follow my formula. I follow this formula only myself because it has been created me. I follow this formula since the past 12 years now. So this has given me very good returns. So you can adjust the percentages according to your age and circumstance, a personal choice. So create an emergency fund, 6 months of your living expenses or 3 months of your gross income. Normal times I'm talking, not talking about the COVID times. Whatever your averages were, you can think about those things. So then you should have access to emergency fund anytime. Don't bother about what money it is earning. Keep it in liquid fund, keep it in debt instruments, money market instruments, whatever, in a sweep in FD, wherever you want to, your choice. I suggest a high earning savings bank account also, but again, a personal choice. But then all these things will start when you are debt free. Always try to get rid of your debts at the earliest. I've discussed this part in depth in the 3 loan sessions. So if you have not watched those videos, please do watch them. So again, differentiate between a good loan and a bad loan. We actually don't know which are the good loans sometimes. So for example, a home loan which gets you a house and offers tax benefit is a good loan. Education loan which you can avail for even 8 years for your kids, you can and enjoy, let you enjoy, or you or your kids a better future, is a good loan. Similarly, a personal loan or a holiday loan or a doctor's loan, sometimes given in the garb of personal loan by people like Bajaj Finance also, or a electronic gadget, can be a bad loan. So always have adequate health insurance. That is the basic. Those parts are to be covered. These 5 parts are to be covered surely before you start venturing into any kind of investment. So your life and health insurance, again, multiple sessions on it. You can understand these things better if you see them and watch them in depth. It is not a one-line answer ki kaun si health insurance policy best hai. People in my paid group who have watched these sessions can vouch for. वो feedback डालते रहते हैं अपना, आप लोगों को, उनको मैं ही बोलता हूँ कि आप अपना feedback डालिए, so that others can be motivated in the free groups also to watch that. I feel a lot pained because I really work hard to give all of you things free of cost. I work a lot hard in that manner. So if you are not watching them, you are doing injustice to yourself, not to me. So always have those things. Keep your because if you don't have your emergency fund, your insurances, you will actually jeopardize your long-term financial goals, and your insurance plans will actually, term insurance plans will cover your high risks at a lower premium as well. So can be 8 to 10 times minimum or 15 to 20 times as per your annual income. And trust me, the annual income is not what you earn, what you put in your ITR. You get a term insurance plan based on that only. So if you are not paying your taxes honestly, if you're not showing your full income, irrespective of what you're earning, you will be covered as per your ITR only. Remember that. So rules of money you should follow. Never buy depreciating stuff on credit. Invest at least 10% of income as early as possible. This rule is for the layman. For us, it is 20%. And that is from the net income, not from the gross income. So track your expenses and income. Don't make emotional decisions. Stop trying to get rich without effort. Always do your research before investing. Have an emergency fund of 6 months expenses. Understand the game that is known as money. Build passive income for residual income, and be financially literate by reading and learning and attending my sessions, of course, if you want to. So the moral of the whole story for today is 8 financial rules which you should never break. Never ever borrow money to invest. The best time to invest is now. There will never be a best time कि कल best time आएगा. Procrastinate कभी मत कीजिए. Emotions should not be allowed to get away into your situation, into your finances. Never chase the trend. Always precede it. Do your research. Keep a track of your balance sheet. This is the session I took very recently also. The next session of balance sheet will be after 6 months in November, after Diwali. If you want, you can attend that. So stop trying to get rich quick. And eighth rule is never forget rule number 127. So thank you so much for a patient hearing. Yes, I hope I was on due time. So this is my YouTube channel link. So if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, do so. You get a video every day, and you will continue to do so till July end, till the lockdown part or restrictions are there, till the webinars are happening. So this is my email and contact and website and my telephone. You can get in touch with me. Most of you already are. My social media presence by my name only, Dr. Bhavdeep, except the page which is by Dr. Bhavdeep Ahuja. So my WhatsApp groups, I run 2 WhatsApp groups. If you want any colleague to be added, you can let me know. Presently 6 or the temporary group of both is on. I keep all the 5 groups full. Whenever somebody leaves from here, I add people from here to all these 5 groups. So please send me your valuable feedback in your WhatsApp group, wherever you are, on my number, book as in brickbats. Both would be welcome in equal measure. And thank you once again for bearing through this session of 1.5 hours. And I stop the share for your questions if there are any. Firstly, I'll be taking up from the chat. I saw a couple in the beginning, I think so. Let me just check. Okay. B2B blend. Okay. No questions yet. Because he did not withdraw investment. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Divya. Yes, sir. This is a basics webinar. Somebody asked me in the evening from the free group, is it useful for the beginners? I said, yes, that is for you to decide. You let me know after the session whether it was for the beginners or not. So thank you, Dr. Raghu. Yes, at least 2 to 3 parts will be coming. So thank you, Dr. Dheeraj. Thank you, Dr. Parul. Thank you, Dr. Ashish. Any queries anybody of you want to ask, or if I missed out any, please do unmute yourself and ask.
Sir, PPF, SSY and RD should be considered as a part of investment or a saving? It is a saving now.
No, it is also an investment only. It is a debt kind of an investment, I believe. Not exactly under debt. It is a GSEC basically. The government securities type, not exactly GSEC also, but I consider it under the debt portfolio, predominantly considering the type of returns it is giving. Imagine PPF was once at 12%. So in those days, the mutual fund culture had not yet caught up primarily with the common man. But yes, see the amount of inflow in the investors which has happened in the previous 3 months. It is insane. So many people have, common man has jumped into the mutual fund industry because there is no return. The inflation, in spite of we not having wants in today's life, हमारी जरूरतें पे लाइफ चल रही है, फिर भी महंगाई कितनी ऊपर गई है. The salaries have come down, so people need return. Return ही नहीं मिलेगी तो फिर कहाँ से पैसा grow करेगा? So much inflow has happened surely in that part.
So, sir, if we are investing 35 to 40,000 per month, that is about 4.5 to 5 lakh rupees in a year. So this part, that is PPF, SSY or RD, post office RD, for example, it should we take this investment along with our equity exposure?
मैंने ब्रेकअप दिया था ऋषभ, शायद आपने सुना नहीं. मैंने बोला if somebody is investing 5 lakhs, 1.5 लाख मैंने बोला PPF में डाल दो आप, 50,000 आपने NPS में डाल दिया. If you are 30 years of age, your 50% exposure goes in equity. That would mean 2.5 lakh goes in equity. Okay, divide करो SIP में जैसे मर्जी करो, that is something else. We are talking about the whole year thing. 2.5 लाख उसमें गया, 1.5 लाख उसमें गया, 50,000 NPS में गया, आपके पास still बचा 50,000. Put that in gold as a hedge to balance out the investments.
Okay.
It can give you good return. एक simple breakup मैंने दिया आपको. You can fix and mix and match. People can invest more than 5 also. Some would not be comfortable, maybe at 40 would not be comfortable putting in more in equity. उनको होगा कि मेरा equity exposure कम हो जाए, मेरी responsibility ज़्यादा है. So they can put in 2 lakhs in equity, 40% exposure. उनके पास 50,000 और है. They can put that in G6 or any kind of debt investment. So that is the thing actually. That is the way you divide according to your age or your risk appetite. That is the reason I explained risk appetite also in this, in detail part.
मतलब सर मैं बेसिकली ये पूछना चाह रहा था आपसे कि जो PPF, SSY और RD का जो इन्वेस्टमेंट है
आज की डेट में उसको मैं डेट गिनता हूँ.
हाँ, लेकिन हम उसको मानेंगे तो पार्ट ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट ही मानेंगे ना उसको,
हाँ, उसको सेविंग नहीं मानेंगे, बिकॉज सेविंग इज
सेविंग नहीं
नॉट गिविंग यू एनीथिंग, सेविंग इज आइडल मनी।
है।
सेविंग मीन आपका सेविंग बैंक अकाउंट, ठीक है ना। मैं उसको गिनता हूँ जो 2.5-3 वाला, वो सेविंग है। वो पोस्ट टैक्स रिटर्न 1-1.5% भी आए उसका कोई फायदा नहीं है, उसको छोड़
यानी कि
दो।
सर जो इमरजेंसी फंड है वो हमको बेसिकली उस अकाउंट में रखना है जिसपे हमें नहीं सोचना है, और वो अगले 6 महीने के बस आइडल पड़ा हुआ है।
दैट इज व्हाट आई से कि इमरजेंसी फंड को भी आप हाई अर्निंग सेविंग में रखो ताकि वो भी ग्रो करता रहे। दैट वाज माय लॉजिक बिहाइंड गिविंग ऑल ऑफ यू दिस एडवाइस सिंस द पास्ट 1 ईयर। दिस इज द रीजन कि आपका वो पैसा भी कुछ ना कुछ ग्रो करता रहे। यस, यू शुड नॉट एम एट दैट कि आपका इमरजेंसी फंड शुड अर्न, but this was the logic or the reasoning behind that. Some people asked me, I gave them the reasoning, many didn't ask. So you are asking today in the webinar, so I'm giving this answer very openly. So certain times I feel that certain things are taken for granted. मेरे को भी लगता है चलो इतना तो शायद मालूम होगा, but yes, some are absolute beginners, so they don't know. So that is the reason. बाकी तो grow कर ही रहे हैं. I wanted कि saving वाला पैसा भी आपका grow करे. This was my rationale behind that. तो आपका कोई पैसा भी 3% नहीं कमा रहा ना, आपका कोई भी पैसा मिनिमम 5.5-6% कमा रहा है, चाहे वो सेविंग बैंक अकाउंट में भी है ऐसे। अब तो चलो ये भी डाउन आ गए हैं, but still there are banks which are giving, AUSFB is giving 7% still, RBL is giving 6.75 in savings bank account, so अभी भी वो दे रहे हैं। so अगर आपका लोएस्ट पोर्टफोलियो भी 6% दे रहा है, 7% दे रहा है, तो आपकी एवरेज देखो कहां पहुंचेगी। बट अगर आपका आधा पैसा डेट में है, 5.5-6 की एफडी में, कुछ पड़ा सेविंग बैंक में 2.25, तो आपकी एवरेज क्या बनेगी? 4%। टैक्स रिटर्न के बाद 2.5%। 2.5% इज नॉट गुड इनफ टू लिव इन टुडेज टाइम्स। दैट इज व्हाट आई मीन टू से।
सर एक बात और पूछनी थी कि जैसे कि सर मैं और मेरी वाइफ अभी जैसे दोनों एक ही प्रेमिसेस में काम करते हैं, एक ही प्रोफेशन है, हम लोग अपना दोनों अलग अलग ITR भरते हैं, तो मतलब एट द टाइम ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट मुझे मेरी मतलब एक क्या वो होनी चाहिए कि ऑल्दो इट इज मतलब एक पोर्टफोलियो टाइप में आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ, ये अभी क्वेश्चन बहुत इमेच्योर है ऑल्दो, कि मतलब अपना इन्वेस्टमेंट और उसका वाइफ का इन्वेस्टमेंट दोनों मुझे इसी फॉर्मूले के हिसाब से करना चाहिए, 45-15-50 के 40 के हिसाब से।
45-15-40 इज योर बजटिंग फॉर्मूला, नॉट योर इन्वेस्टमेंट फॉर्मूला। वो बजटिंग का फॉर्मूला है फॉर योर एक्सपेंसेस एंड योर रिटायरमेंट।
हाँ एक्सपेंसेस मतलब सर उसी तरीके से
वो हर एक को वही करना चाहिए, फॉलो
वही करना है।
मैं तो ये रिकमेंड करता हूँ फॉर प्रोफेशनल्स लाइक अस, वी नीड 45-15-40। वो 50-30-20 इज फॉर अ कॉमन मैन जिसको अपने 10% ऑफ नेट इनकम या 20% ऑफ ग्रॉस इनकम, वन द सेम थिंग, डालना है अपनी सेविंग में। डॉक्टर को डबल डालना, बिकॉज वी स्टार्ट 1 decade लेट देन अवर अदर पीयर्स। हमारी
40% का इन्वेस्टमेंट करना है,
40% ऑफ ग्रॉस इन योर रिटायरमेंट प्लान।
तो ग्रॉस मतलब जो टोटल रिसीविंग हुई
टोटल कलेक्शन, यस,
टोटल कलेक्शन, और उसके बाद जो एक्सपेंडिचर क्लिनिक निकलता है, जैसे मैं
आप उल्टा कर लो, आप
30% आपने अपना एक्सपेंडिचर,
आप उल्टा कर लो, उसी तरह कर लो ना। आप 40% फ्रॉम द, आप मान लीजिए 2 लाख क्लिनिक की इनकम, 50% आपके क्लिनिक के एक्सपेंसेस निकाल दो, 1 लाख इज द कैरी होम अमाउंट। उसमें से 45,000 आपकी अर्निंग है, 45,000 आपकी, सॉरी, योर बिलिंग, योर एक्सपेंसेस, 15,000 योर वांट्स, एंड 40,000 शुड बी योर रिटायरमेंट प्लान। इन दैट सेंस, दैट इज व्हाट आई एडवाइस। You need to look at that scenario in that sense. Okay.
ओके सर।
Okay, let me just check the chat if there are any questions.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Shripal.
Sir, speaking of now long-term investment, as we say, let's consider it as to be 10 to 15 years. Okay, I'm talking of stock market, the equity-based shares. But sir, we need to track them at regular intervals. That's right. अभी बोलते हैं कि थोड़ा बहुत नीचे आ गया तो पैनिक नहीं करना. But sir, there have been times something like Anil Ambani share group. I mean, they have fallen to such an extent, long term तो भूल ही गया रहेगा बेचारा, जो 2 साल पहले उसको इन्वेस्ट किया रहेगा, और ऐसा कुछ होने वाला है. So how to track those things कि अच्छा ये exit अब एक signal आ रहा है, you have gained let's say 40-50% in that particular whatever stock, तो अभी 10 साल और रुकना है, नेक्स्ट क्या हो रहा है पता नहीं. सो हाउ यू ट्रैक दोस थिंग्स, आई मीन, क्योंकि कचरा भी हो गए हैं, आई नो few of the shares from my dad's portfolio also. जो कुछ नहीं होने वाला उसका.
So जो आपका फॉल करता है ना, पहली चीज तो ये है कि आई डोंट एनकरेज टोटल स्टॉक ट्रेडिंग. मैं तो उसके बहुत अगेंस्ट हूँ. इन स्पाइट ऑफ हैविंग द नॉलेज, इन स्पाइट ऑफ हैविंग माय डैड्स कैरी फॉरवर्ड शेयर्स टू मी, I have actually resisted myself big time to indulge into stock market in today's times. I don't do that because जब म्यूचुअल फंड मेरे को उससे अच्छे रिटर्न दे रहा है, तो why should I be bothered about? उस हिसाब से तो मेरे को बिटकॉइन में भी डाल देने चाहिए थे सारे पैसे, क्योंकि थोड़े साल पहले तक तो, थोड़े साल क्या, just a year and a half, I think 2 years back, it was just about close to I think 5,000 or 7,000 only dollars. Couple of years back, वो $40,000 तक पहुंचा. Imagine the kind of growth. So the thing is, if a mutual fund is serving my purpose, why do I need to go into other part? Though वही बात आती है ना, हम लेट स्टार्ट करते हैं, we try to get rich quick. तो वो चीज होती है. बट देन अगर आपका एक शेयर जा रहा नीचे, तो फिर रिस्क एपेटाइट इसी को तो बोलते हैं ना, कुछ तो जाएगा. 100% तो आपका ग्रो भी नहीं करेगा, एंड यू कांट एक्सपेक्ट 100% ऑल्सो. बट इफ अ थिंग कम्स डाउन एंड स्टार्ट्स फॉलिंग डाउन और वहीं पे रहती है, देन यू नीड टू मेक अ प्रॉफिट बुकिंग. स्टॉक में इमोशनल वैल्यू नहीं चलती है. स्टॉक्स में स्टॉक्स में ये लॉन्ग टर्म वाली चीज कई बार नहीं चलती है. वो लॉजिक पे नहीं चलती है, वो सेंटिमेंट्स पे चलती है.
एग्जैक्टली.
म्यूचुअल फंड्स नहीं चलते उस पे. म्यूचुअल फंड बहुत सारा कुछ लॉजिक पे चलता है.
So sir, let's say you have made 40-50% in particular stock over a period of very quickly, let's say in 2-3 months, जो हुआ है पिछले एक साल में काफी स्टॉक्स के साथ. तो should we decide to exit or should we let's say 25% बुक कर लो या 30% बुक कर लो, ऐसा?
इट इज अ पर्सनल चॉइस. अपनी गोल सेटिंग पे डिपेंड करता है बहुत कुछ. मेरा एक सिंपल फंड है म्यूचुअल फंड के लिए, एक्सेप्ट फॉर अ वेरी फ्यू सिलेक्टेड फंड्स. मैं म्यूचुअल फंड की बात कर रहा हूँ, स्टॉक्स की नहीं कर रहा. मेरा एक सिंपल फंड है, अगर मेरा म्यूचुअल फंड ने जब मेरे को डबल दे दिया, मैं उससे एग्जिट कर जाता हूँ. एक्सेप्ट फॉर वेरी फ्यू सिलेक्टेड. मेरे को डबल दे दिया, मैं कर जाता हूँ. लेकिन अगर इस बुल फेज में भी कोई फंड ऐसा है जिसका XIRR या कह लो, XIRR मींस द एनुअल बेस्ड रिटर्न, नॉट द CAGR. XIRR मेरे को अभी भी 11% दिखा रहा है. So I will not go about that. I mentioned in one of the previous sessions about one Aditya Birla's mid cap fund. तो वो फंड 327 से ऊपर कभी नहीं गया था in the past 5 years. 5 years पहले उसका 3 years 2018 31 जनवरी को उसका बेंचमार्क आया था हाईएस्ट 327. उसके बाद it touched maybe around 340. It was last session जब मैंने लिया था, it was trading at 381 rupees. Today it is 396 rupees. The insane amount of growth is there. अब वो ऑलमोस्ट मेरे डबल के आसपास पहुंच चुका है. और आई माइट एग्जिट एनी टाइम बिकॉज मैंने उसकी रेंगती हुई ग्रोथ देखी है. तो चाहे अगले 2 महीने में वो 426 पे पहुंच जाए, 450 पहुंच जाए, मेरा टारगेट पूरा हो गया, मेरा गोल मिल गया, मेरे को क्या लेना देना, वो जो ना मर्जी रहे. मेरा कोई रिग्रेट तो नहीं है ना. मेरा रिग्रेट ये है कि मेरा 20 का सपोज डाला 40 हो गया. वाई शुड बी बॉदर्ड कि यार मैं थोड़ी देर और रख लेता तो वो 40 का 50 हो जाता, वो 40 का 30 भी तो हो सकता था ना. I need to remember those risks also. So वो एक थोड़ा सा इमोशनल वैल्यू को साइड पे रखना पड़ता है. You cannot always keep those things in those equations.
तो सर ये सुधीर और रणधीर का जैसे एग्जांपल था. Now this guy invested for 10 years, मतलब 10 years he kept on putting in, और उसके बाद he stayed invested but extra money नहीं डाला है कुछ, right? तो वो जिस किसी भी I mean asset allocation जिसमें भी उसने किया रहेगा, तो सर उसको भी तो मॉनिटर करना पड़ता रहेगा ना. आई मीन
अरे आप इतने टेक्निकल डिटेल्स में मत जाओ सुधीर रणधीर की. दैट वाज जस्ट टू गिव यू एन एग्जांपल. या I understand that. I understand, but what the carry home point was not the tracking part. The carry home point was the time factor. People look at the money invested, they never bother about the time. बोलते चल यार 5 लाख पड़ा, अभी डूब ना जाए 5 लाख, सारा पैसा निकालो फिर से डाल देंगे. They lose out on that time quotient. So that slide was just to explain you the importance of time. Yes, what you say is absolutely correct. We need to keep a track of that things. But यहाँ पे हमने presume किया रिटर्न भी सेम है, उनके फंड्स भी सेम है, उनकी इन्वेस्टमेंट भी सेम है. We just took उसमें सिर्फ कैरी होम पॉइंट था टाइम. So just look at that. There will be that. Yes, जो आप कह रहे हो सही कह रहे हो. But it is not to be mixed over certain things over here.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Abhijit asks, great session. This question might not be relevant. Every question should be relevant, Dr. Abhijit. Never mind. But how you manage teaching, clinic, and learning all in one? It is a personal interest. It is a personal interest always. What I prioritize in my life, it depends upon that. We are almost getting to the end of lockdown in Punjab. So the curfew still starts at 7. I still have some time to keep into that. I'm still a early riser. And remember, I wrote a book on time management last year. So I can manage time a little bit better than all of you, maybe. So
सर एक और क्वेश्चन था
बोलिए.
सर मेरा एक जो फंड स्टार्ट हुआ था, आई मीन देयर वाज XYZ फंड व्हिच गिव रिटर्न ऑफ ऑलमोस्ट 17% and 2.5 years back जो start हुआ. Now I'm planning to switch over. So the return was 17%. Now whatever the fund manager there, I mean whoever recommended, he's saying you don't continue with the SIP but stay invested in it. Because you have already got at the rate of 17%. But is it a wise choice to stay invested and just stop the SIP or completely pull out of it and stop it?
You can stop SIP anytime. There is a minimum of 6 or 5 SIPs which have to be mandatorily put in if you start an SIP. But SIP अगर आपका दिल करता है कि आप इस फंड में और नहीं डालना चाहते तो जरूरी नहीं कि आपने SIP बंद करने के बाद पैसा तभी निकालना है.
अच्छा.
बिकॉज वो अगर वो ELSS है तो 3 साल का लॉक इन रहेगा ऑन द लास्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट और द लास्ट सिप. ठीक है. If it is a normal equity, the lock-in would be 1 year over there for the LTCG part. So if it is a good fund giving you a good return, uske financial study kariye. If you are happy with the growth, if it has given you sustained one, you can stay invested after stopping your SIP. There is no reason you should take it out. But if it was for a certain purpose, if it was for a short-term goal that it has fulfilled and you need the money for that short-term goal, take out that money.
Okay.
But if you did it for a long-term purpose, stay invested.
Acha.
Yeah. Okay, question. Won't mention the name. Can share investments be claimed in IT returns? No, share investments are not under any section of 80C or any other 80 section. It cannot be. It is an investment, and any kind of return would be now pre-filled. Any gains or losses would be pre-filled in your ITRs starting July onwards. So do we also have to consider market cycles before investing in mutual fund? There is no right time to invest. I just gave you that slide. There is no right time to invest. Every time is a good time to start, especially in a mutual fund. You don't consider such things. So thank you, Dr. Krishnapriya. Thank you, Dr. Deepak. Starting at 40 years, what would be the advice for the person? What are the disadvantages? What are the pluses for starting at this time? When I discuss portfolio construction, Dr. Raghu, you will get the answer to this question very, very clearly. Don't worry. So, thank you.
What is your advice for equity market as a for us, for dental surgeons? Should we go for shares or should we stick to mutual funds if we do not have the time to indulge in shares?
ट्रैक तो दोनों करने पड़ेंगे, पहली बात. बाकी ये एक सिंपल भाषा में अगर जवाब दूं, स्टॉक ट्रेडिंग टू मी इज लाइक अ चस्का. वो पड़ जाता ना ट्रेडिंग, चलो, बट स्टिल वो धीरे धीरे लत लग जाती है. चॉइस अपनी है. इट इज एन इंडिविजुअल चॉइस. मैं बहुत आई टोल्ड यू, आई हैव रेजिस्टेड माई सेल्फ बिग टाइम. इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू कंट्रोल व्हेन यू हैव द नॉलेज and when you can do and when you can actually obviously even I cannot predict the market, but yes, I can time certain things maybe a little better than you guys. A little better, I said, not much better. So if I can commit an error when my purpose is being solved by my other equity or by my good choice of mutual funds, why do I look at the other things? वो फास्ट ट्रैक मनी वाला काम में नहीं. यस, स्टॉक्स कैन गिव यू ओवरनाइट मनी. आपको डबल पैसे शायद 6 महीने में हो जाएंगे. There are certain stocks which can give that, but yes, again, it is like a satta only, gambling only, na. I really, yes, people would say there is a definitive knowledge behind it. I don't disagree with them, but then it is a personal attitude. I have already my plate and hands and head and my legs full with everything. I can't put in another burden on me for stock trading. I don't want to, because that eats up, that used to eat a lot of my time of my clinic. Because मेरे को फोकस इधर पेशेंट आ गया, उधर वो मार्केट जा रही है, मैंने डालना है नहीं डालना है. Those sort of things used to happen. It affected my patient schedule. So I'm not going to venture into those territories for at least the near future. Yes, when I get free from my clinic in long term, short term, in coming years, probably 5 years, I have a plan of retiring at 50 from clinic partially. Maybe then I might think of it when it is not interfering with my daily routine. But as Dr. Abhijit Gambhir asked me, I already have my hands full. I don't want to add another thing. It is all about prioritization, what you want to do. So I won't be adding.
हुआ था कि एक बार शेयर्स में घुसने के बाद आपको टाइम चाहिए. वो सर प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हो, शेयर मार्केट जा रहा है, आपको लग रहा है कि परचेज करना है और आप परचेज नहीं कर पा रहे हो बिकॉज आप पेशेंट में आप घिरे हुए हो, तो इट क्रिएट्स अ सॉर्ट ऑफ मेंटल डिस्कम्फर्ट.
लॉट वो बात फिर वही आ जाती है ना, क्विक रिटर्न्स. डिसिप्लिन इन्वेस्टमेंट इज गिविंग मी क्विक रिटर्न्स, व्हाई शुड बी आई गेटिंग एट अ गेट रिच क्विक स्कीम? उसमें गेट पुअर स्कीम भी तो साथ में इंक्लूडेड है ना, फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. इट इज अ बंडल्ड बेनिफिट विद दैट. इट इज नॉट ऑलवेज अ गेट रिच क्विक. आप हाथ भी जलाओगे अपने, ठीक है ना. आप बैड डिसीजन लोगे कि उधर पेशेंट आ गया, आपका दिमाग इधर रहेगा, आप पेशेंट का काम खराब कराओगे, उधर आप मेडिको लीगल सिनेरियो क्रिएट कर दोगे. जितना कमाओगे नहीं शायद उधर गवाना पड़ जाए, प्रोफेशनल इंडेमनिटी भी बचा नहीं पाएगी. सो व्हाई डू यू वांट टू वेंचर इनटू दैट टेरिटरी? इट इज अ पर्सनल चॉइस.
बहुत स्टडी करनी पड़ती है शेयर्स में, बहुत
स्टडी
बहुत ज्यादा.
मैं वही, स्टडी इज वन थिंग, स्टडी कर ली, लेट्स सपोज यू आर माय सिचुएशन, स्टडी कर ली, यू नो द ट्रिक्स ऑफ द ट्रेड, बट टाइम, फोकस चाहिए. हर काम में फोकस चाहिए. फोकस के बिना मैं कोई काम नहीं करता हूँ. मेरी एक आदत है जिंदगी में, whenever I'm on a task, I give my 100% or maybe more than that. But अगर मैं उस चीज को नहीं दे पा रहा, अपने पेशेंट को नहीं दे पा रहा, then I am actually doing a dishonest service, which I don't like actually. So any profession which I am choosing has to be very honest in my sojourn in that sense. So thank you, Dr. Harshada. Thank you, Dr. Amit. Last year, same date, same session clubbing. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Raghu. What does it mean by tracking your portfolio in mutual funds? Tracking your portfolio means you actually keep on tracking your individual mutual funds. What are the returns they are giving? What is the CAGR, compound annual growth rate? What is the XIR? What exactly उनका fund manager change तो नहीं हुआ है, उसने अपना equity exposure या अपना stock exposure change तो नहीं किया है. All those things you keep on tracking. उसका सेफ्टी मीटर जो है वो रिस्की में तो नहीं चला गया है. आगे 5 थे, अब 7 लेवल्स दे दिए हैं, सॉरी 3 थे शायद, अब 5 या 6 लेवल्स हो गए हैं फ्रॉम द क्राइसिल रेटिंग. सो दिस इज द वे. अब आपका फंड किस कैटेगरी में फॉल करता है? देयर आर लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. अब जो मल्टी कैप होती थी उसको फ्लेक्सी कैप बना दिया गया फ्रॉम सेबी. लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स दैट आर हैपनिंग. आई गेव द चेंजेस इन द ग्रुप इटसेल्फ. सो yes, multiple things keep on happening, so you need to track on a daily basis. Whatever funds I have, frankly telling you, whenever I get up early in the morning, my first thing after grabbing my cup of tea in my hand is tracking my portfolio. It takes me 15 to 20 minutes or less than that probably. I track my funds on daily basis, and yes, I make a choice accordingly if I have to buy or exit in the morning itself, depending upon the day situation, because we have time to give a request till 3 p.m. Luckily, the offices we have to give the request are very close by my house. So 3 p.m. is the cutoff time. So I can even go at 2:30. That is already my lunch time going on in the clinic. So I can do that in those hours also. So I keep tracking them on daily basis every morning from Monday to Saturday. From Tuesday to Saturday. Because Monday का सुबह आएगा ना, तो Friday का Saturday आएगा. Saturday Sunday market is closed, and in the meantime, if I find time, I do read a lot of articles. I keep on reading a lot of things in the day. I don't sit idle for a minute. Either I'm reading something apart from my family time, of course. Whenever I'm not having a webinar, whenever I'm not in my clinic, and if I'm not having a patient at that time or any appointment got cancelled, I'm reading something or the other. Can be finance, can be practice management, can be something else. But that is the way I keep myself occupied. So I would advise you that only, rather than playing games or doing illogical surfing, go on reading something meaningful. So if you're switching again and again, don't we lose the time advantage? More than that, you actually get, if you're switching again and again, you get a exit load also applicable. Switching वो term है ना, बड़ी एक वो royal term है, बड़ा वो एक delegated term है. Switching actually means you sell off in one and you buy in another. Entry load चलो आजकल applicable नहीं है in most of the funds, but अगर आप again and again switch कर रहे हैं, you still get applicable an exit load. And there are some charges other also which are added on to this cost. So switching is a very royal word, but it is actually selling and buying, selling the old and buying the new one. नाम उसको switching दिया गया. Yes, time advantage भी lose करते हैं, but then switching is done usually when a fund is not performing and you want to switch to another fund. That is absolutely fine in that. And switching means you keep on invested in the same fund house. उसका एक आपने fund से exit करे, दूसरे fund में कर लिया. So that is actually called as switching in a simple layman language, if I can say you. Yes, you lose time advantage in that. So thank you, Dr. Bhavna. Yes, compounding effect is diluted, surely. Thank you, Dr. Harshada. Yes, Rajesh sir, how to decide which MF is good or bad performance wise, when to exit? Sir, मेरा फंडा आपको बता दिया मैंने. अगर बुल रन में भी मेरे अगर CAGR 10% 11% है, जब सारे फंड्स इतने ग्रो कर चुके हैं, तो मैं जब बाकी निकालूंगा तो मैं इनको भी निकाल दूंगा. सिंपल एज दैट. और मेरा सिंपल फंडा मैं जो फॉलो करता हूँ, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, if the fund has given me double, I'll exit. So obviously buying के time पे I've taken exercise a lot of caution that this fund is not going to be a bad one. Remember I put in ICICI का मैंने कल डाला था Discovery Value Fund. It जब खरीदा था, it was supposed to be a very very decently good fund, but उसका I got it at 108 rupees in January 2006, touted as one of the most promising funds at that time. Trust me, till last year 149 पे धक्के खा रहा था ये बहुत साल से. But then इसकी बुल रन स्टार्ट हुई 176, 189. On Friday it was इसकी NAV थी 214. अब 114 means it is almost मेरे को डबल दे चुका है. 108 पे बाय किया 2016, 5 साल का टाइम, 5 से 5.5 हो गए हैं. लेट्स सपोज जनवरी 16 में खरीदा था, 5.5 साल में भी डबल इज नॉट अ बैड फिगर कंसिडरिंग बुल रन के एडवांटेज है. बट अब नाउ इट इज बीइंग मर्ज्ड इनटू अ फंड विच इज ICICI Prudential Series 20. जो नया फंड है 3 साल से ग्रो, वो 3 साल 4 महीने से फंड आया हुआ है, लेकिन उसकी वैल्यू 13 रुपए 13.61 है. तो इस बुल रन में भी अगर कोई फंड सीरीज 20 का 10 से 13.61 पहुंचा, कहने को 36% ग्रोथ है. इन 3 साल में आप कह सकते हो 12% के आसपास है, बट दैट इज नॉट अ गुड इनफ रिटर्न फॉर मी, बिकॉज कंसिडरिंग कि ये बुल रन में आप रिटर्न देखो, उसको माइनस करके आप उसकी XIRR लोगे तो वो बहुत कम आएगी कंपैरेटिवली. सो आई एम गोइंग टू एग्जिट फ्रॉम दिस फंड, क्योंकि मेरा पर्पस वैसे भी सॉल्व हो चुका है डबलिंग का ऑलमोस्ट. And in any case, I don't want to enter into that Series 20 fund. So this is the way you actually make such decisions. And बाकी कुछ ऐसे फंड्स हैं मेरे पास जिनका जनवरी 16 में खरीदा हुआ, लेट्स सपोज लमसम में खरीदे थे उस वक्त मैंने 20,000 का फंड, आज भी वो बुल रन के बाद भी 33 या 34 हुआ है. तो आई एम वेटिंग फॉर अ अपॉर्चुन टाइम, मे बी दिस वीक, मे बी नेक्स्ट वीक, आई विल एग्जिट फ्रॉम दोज आल्सो. आई एम स्टिल डूइंग अ डिसेंट इनफ प्रॉफिट बुकिंग. 10.5, 11, 12% के आसपास XIRR मिल रहा है. स्टिल नॉट लॉस मेकिंग. ऑब्वियसली 11-12% अगर कोई भी इन्वेस्टमेंट होगी तो मेरे को 20 का 34 नहीं देती इन 5 years, considering the investments that have gone down in past 5 years. So exit from that. And already I've started a few of new SIPs in the month of March and April itself. Good funds I've selected, around 8-9 funds I've selected. So it is time already. I'm trying to exit from my older portfolio and have built up a new one, except for the other SIPs which are going on for kids regularly. So this is the way.
सर आपने जैसे बोला कि आप म्यूचुअल फंड से एग्जिट कर जाते हैं ऑलमोस्ट जब वो डबल हो जाता है आपका टारगेट, तो क्या आप कोई टाइम फ्रेम लेकर चलते हो कि मेरा ये इतने टाइम में डेवलप हो जाना चाहिए?
मैं 7 years का टाइम लेता हूँ मैक्सिमम. 7 years का टाइम देता हूँ मैक्सिमम, because that is the way I look at such things. अगर मेरी इन्वेस्टमेंट अगर 8% अगर 7 years में मेरे को चाहिए तो मेरे को कितनी रिटर्न मिली? 10.5-11 के आसपास. मैं इन्फ्लेशन ब्रीडिंग देखता हूँ मोस्टली. अगर मैं 72 को 7 से डिवाइड करूंगा, मेरे को रिटर्न अबव 10 आई. सो मैं इन्फ्लेशन
11%
मैं इन्फ्लेशन को बीट करने की सोचता हूँ बस. That is a very honest, or say a very liberal target that I keep. Again, मेरे अपने benchmarks हैं. I don't go by certain things by the hearsay or other things. मेरा अपना benchmark है. मेरे को 10% plus inflation beating mechanism आ जाए तो I will exit from that. अगर वो 7 साल मेरा upper limit है, 7 साल में भी वो double नहीं हुआ है, तो that means it is not a good fund for me. So that is the thing I always arrive at. So अगर वो 3 में डबल हो गया, 5 में डबल हो गया, तो फिर मैं उसमें कंटिन्यू करता रहता हूँ. दिस इज द वे थिंग्स गो. सो वो मल्टीप्लाई. अब मेरे पास एक ऐसा भी फंड है जो 2006 में लिया था, बॉट इट एट 10 rupees, इट इज एट 70 rupees पे. So I'm continuing with that. It's given me 7 times. उसमें से मैंने एग्जिट नहीं किया. वो 30,000 लमसम डाला था मैंने, तो 2,10,000 है आज आफ्टर 14 years. So what else do I need? 7 times. That is a huge thing. उसमें continued है मेरे. So this is the way things go. Not all
सर,
funds
ये
are.
इस तरीके से फिर हम एट द टाइम ऑफ सिलेक्शन ऑफ फंड भी हम ये देख सकते हैं कि किन फंड ने जो है पिछले 7 साल में अपना डबल किया है,
Yes.
उनको सेग्रीगेट करके।
Your estimates can be 5 years, 8 years, 9 years. मैं अपना बताया आपको. I
सर
gave
7
you
years से डिसेंट एक वो है,
decent. That is the cutoff time that I always say.
बिकॉज इट गोज डाउन टू अप्रोक्सीमेटली 10 to 11% ऑफ रिटर्न।
Yes.
तो अगर से इन्फ्लेशन वही 7.5%, 8% है, यानी कि आपको 3% का तब भी प्रॉफिट हो रहा है,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
जो बेसिक फंड आया मतलब इसके
जो
पीछे।
बेसिक फंड है, जो बेसिक देखिए, हर चीज में कुछ ना कुछ तो, हर चीज में प्रॉफिट तो आएगा नहीं, कुछ चीज में नुकसान भी आएगा, नफा नुकसान दोनों चीज बैलेंस करने लाइफ में। अगर सारे प्रॉफिट करते जाएं तो फिर लॉस कौन कमाएगा जिंदगी में? सो कोई कमाता है तो कोई गवाता है, तो दोनों चीजें बैलेंस चलती है ना लाइफ में। सो दिस इज द वे थिंग्स गो एक्चुअली।
यानी कि सर 11 से 12% का रिटर्न हमको लेकर चलना चाहिए
मिनिमम मिनिमम
इक्विटी
मिनिमम
मिनिमम।
मिनिमम।
और तो
इक्विटी
ये है
अगर
कि
आपको इक्विटी अगर आपको 11 या 12 भी नहीं दे रही, फिर इक्विटी में भी फायदा नहीं है इन्वेस्टमेंट
कोई
का।
फायदा नहीं है।
फिर मतलब चॉइस ऑफ फंड्स इज रॉन्ग, नॉट द इक्विटी मार्केट इज रॉन्ग, योर चॉइस ऑफ फंड्स इज रॉन्ग, बिकॉज इक्विटी इज गिविंग 33-35% रिटर्न्स एज वेल।
सर ये जो इन्फ्लेशन का जो रेट गवर्नमेंट डिक्लेयर करती है कि 7% है या जो भी कुछ है, ये एक्चुअली में हमें कितना इफेक्ट करता है, किस परसेंट पे आकर के हमें इफेक्ट करता है?
10% मोटा मोटा 10% मोटा मोटा। और ये आने वाले टाइम में अगर जब अब ये टाइम के साथ अगर आपके मैं वेकेशंस और आपके अदर खर्चे ऐड कर दूं, मॉल जा रहे हैं हम, वेकेशन जा रहे हैं, शॉपिंग कर रहे हैं, तो योर इन्फ्लेशन इन टुडेज टाइम, कोविड टाइम्स आल्सो विल गो डाउन टू और गो अप टू 15%। and I'm taking a very liberal estimate, very liberal estimate. I might be little bit far away, 14 होगा या 16 होगा, but I'm taking an average at 15। अगर इसमें हम अपनी wants ऐड कर दें जो कि इस वक्त फिलहाल बंद हैं, आप सोचिए कॉस्ट ऑफ लिविंग कहां पहुंच गई, पेट्रोल कहां पहुंच गया, ठीक है ना? दैट डायरेक्टली अफेक्ट्स योर फैमिली बजट। वी आर कॉम्पनसेटिंग इन अ वे बिकॉज हमारा वो खर्चा एकदम से बंद है, बिल्कुल बंद है अपना, ना कोई मॉल ना कोई मूवी, सब कुछ ओटीटी से गुजारा हो रहा है अपना, ठीक है? तो दैट इज द वे, बट इफ दोज आर एडेड, ट्रस्ट मी द इन्फ्लेशन इज गोइंग टू गो। मोटा मोटा मान के चलता हूं मैं, गवर्नमेंट की नंबर्स के हिसाब से डबल चलती है इन्फ्लेशन, मोटा मोटा। अगर 5 कह रही है तो 9.5 10.5 के आसपास होगी। अगर गवर्नमेंट ने 6 6.5 कह दिया तो समझ लो 13 तो है ही आज की डेट में। ये अभी बहुत चीजें ऐड नहीं हुई है इसमें। व्हेन द गवर्नमेंट थिंग्स आर एडेड टू इट, ट्रस्ट मी दिस नंबर विल गो हायर।
तो सर फिर ये हमारे से म्यूचुअल फंड का पोर्टफोलियो है, तो ये कि बस क्या बस मनी को डेप्रिशिएट होने से बचा रहा है लॉन्ग टर्म में?
एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली। हम
रिटर्न
लोग,
कहाँ है?
मैंने वही तो बताया था उस दिन, एक मैंने स्लाइड डाली थी ना, पीपल आर एक्चुअली इरोडिंग देयर लॉट ऑफ वेल्थ इफ यू आर कंसिडरिंग इन डेट इन्वेस्टमेंट्स इवन टुडे। यू आर एक्चुअली, अब आप गवर्नमेंट फिगर 6.3 इन्फ्लेशन आ गई है, अगर आप 5.5% की एफडी में डालते हो तो आप सोच लो आप कहां खड़े हो, सोचो कहां खड़े हो। अगर इन्फ्लेशन गवर्नमेंट इज 6.3, आज शाम को आया फिगर 6.3 का, आई जस्ट सॉ द फ्लैश, आई डिडंट रीड द होल न्यूज, सेशन का टाइम हो रहा था, आई जस्ट सॉ द फ्लैश 6.3। सो अगर गवर्नमेंट 6.3 कह रही है, 5.5 की एफडी कराओगे तो या सेविंग में रखोगे 3%, तो आप कहां जा रहे हो, आपका पैसा कहां जा रहा है? इमेजिन दैट। दिस इज द थिंग यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड। Okay, sequential. Yes, Dr. Divya, I always make sure that the sequences are good. All MF portfolios at one screen, mutual fund utilities, which is good. CAMS is good. KFinTech is also decent enough. It is a personal choice, whichever platform you want to use. Thank you, Dr. Shripal. Criteria of non-performance of MF. Sir, वही मैं तो डबलिंग क्राइटेरिया देखता हूँ। अगर 7 साल में भी फंड डबल नहीं हुआ है, इन्फ्लेशन को बीट करने के लायक नहीं पहुंचा है, अगर ये इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ती रहेगी तो मेरा क्राइटेरिया 7 से 6 पे आ जाएगा सर, सिंपल एज दैट, क्योंकि मैं इन्फ्लेशन के हिसाब से चलूंगा ना। तो अगर इन्फ्लेशन ही 10-11 पे पहुंच गई तो मेरे को 12% रिटर्न चाहिए कम से कम, मिनिमम। मैं गवर्नमेंट फिगर्स नहीं, जनरल बात कर रहा हूँ। गवर्नमेंट फिगर के हिसाब से भी चलेंगे, 6.5 कह रहे, 8, 9, 10 तक होएगी। तो अगर 6 साल मीन्स 12% रिटर्न, अगर नहीं दे रहा वो रिटर्न, तो फंड हैज टू गो फॉर मी इन दैट सेंस। म्यूचुअल फंड का कोर्स नहीं करना, अच्छा जल्दी, वो मैं आपको 15 शॉर्ट वीडियोस दूंगा ऑन 30th जून, दैट इज अ प्रॉमिस। you'll get 5-6 minute videos each on 30th June. I told you the day because of the reasons. So doubling in lump sum, what about SIP? SIP का तो सर XIRR के आप हिसाब से देखते चलो ना, ग्रोथ वो तो सारे फिगर्स बेचारे हर महीने भेजते हैं स्टेटमेंट, उसमें सब फिगर्स आते रहते हैं। एंड सिप जब आप चलते हैं ना, सिप का एक्चुअल ग्रोथ हम लोग देखते हैं वंस द सिप स्टॉप्स। मैं उससे देखता हूँ कि आपने आज सिप स्टॉप कर दिया 4 साल बाद, 3 साल बाद, 5 साल बाद, उसमें एग्जिट नहीं करना, उसको ग्रो करने दो। यस वी विल हैव दैट बफर पीरियड होता है कि पहले वाली को तो इतने साल हो गए हैं, बट आई ऑलवेज लुक एट द फिगर फ्रॉम द लास्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट। अगर लास्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट के हिसाब से मेरा अमाउंट डबल होता है इन 6 years 7 years, दैट इज द वे आई एक्चुअली अराइव। एंड सिप के लिए हमेशा थोड़ा सा लॉन्ग टर्म स्पैन देना चाहिए। जितना आपने, एक सिंपल सा फंडा है कि जितने साल सिप चलाई है कम से कम उतने साल उसको ग्रो करने देना है, एंड देन वैलिड। 3 साल सिप चलाइए, 6 साल के बाद देखिए अगर XIRR अगर आपकी डिसेंट इनफ है, if it is close to 12-13%, then continue, otherwise exit. That is the again a simplest funda. So should we invest in NFOs or already old funds? Sir, ये बड़ा ट्रिकी क्वेश्चन होता है। अगर कई बारी कई NFOs आते हैं, NFOs आते हैं, न्यू फंड ऑफर्स आते हैं कि they have a very dedicated good manager and very reputed one, people start investing in that कि ये investment fund manager का रिकॉर्ड अच्छा है, he'll give us returns. But then we have to remember that some of these new funds which are with very known fund managers will actually sometimes have more expense ratios. सबसे पहले उसकी देखनी कि उसकी expense ratio कितनी है फंड की। For a direct fund 0.3 0.4 से ऊपर नहीं होनी चाहिए। For any say regular fund 1.7 1.8 मेरे लिए अपर लिमिट है। Yes, आज के डेट में 2.5% 2.75 वाले फंड्स भी आ गए हैं, ऑल्दो सेबी ने एक बैरियर लगाया हुआ है, लेकिन स्टिल जो अच्छा फंड मैनेजर होता है उसका खर्चा पूरा करने के लिए वो एक्सपेंस रेशियोज आर 2.75. सो इफ इट इज दैट, आई विल नॉट वेंचर इनटू दैट NFO फॉर मी. But yes, sir, if there are good funds which are giving good returns, have a good track record of 5 to 10 years, there is no harm in investing in those funds, because ultimately SIP will balance out most of the things in that regard. So I hope I already answered your question. Thank you, Dr. Poonam ma'am. Any more queries?
पोर्टफोलियो मेकिंग हम डिस्कस करेंगे ना इसमें?
Surely, surely. Style of mutual funds like value, contrarian, quant matters. Yes, it does matter a lot. I hope I didn't miss out any questions. If I have missed out, you can ask again. So close to 2 hours. So any more questions or we call it a day? Okay, thank you so much then. I'll notify the next session. Please do post your feedback in the WhatsApp group wherever you are. I'll surely want a few words from you so that others are also motivated to watch the same, because this is for you all only, nothing for me only. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. Good
Thank you,
night.
sir. Good
See
night,
you,
sir.
sir. Thank you.
Right.